Sudden ending. Caught me off guard and everything. We're live. Hello, everyone. I forgot this doesn't. Again, we haven't figured out the intro. We did this last time, remember?
I don't know, man. I'm so cooked.
You've been, as a friend of yours,
Yeah.
your schedule is interesting. Because my schedule is crazy too, but I'm working like the local markets, you know?
Uh-huh.
You're on TV. It's a lot of exposure, bro. You know, you're on the Cultaholic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I'm hitting it hard, hitting it fast, right? Just really just
Yeah.
city to city, clanging and banging.
Yeah.
You know.
I got scared when you promoted the Raw review by saying, I will have extensive insight on who is doing what in the AEW creative team. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
So that's the price of that's the price of fame is you do what you do and the shows get more commercially successful, but then you have the media and the paparazzi surrounding you and they're taking photos and they have the microphones to your face. And I thought I was on fire, Joe. I can't lie. Like I came out that Raw review, I was like, man, I'm feeling great, man. I'm ready to work another fucking Tokyo Dome epic. And then come right on now, where now it's showtime. The lights are on again, and I'm in the ring for another show. And my knees hurt. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I feel kind of.
We both are, to be fair. I mean, these names going at the bottom of the screen, they may not even be up to date anymore. I haven't even had the time to check. It's like Terrence Jackson may not even be a member anymore. He's still on the list. You know, it's just anything could happen.
This is
third page of Larry Bird. Anyone? I don't know.
This is certainly going to be my last show until next Worldwide. I'm going to just jump into a tub of ice. You know?
You're gonna go home.
You're gonna go home like Phil. I've been getting aggregated and shit, you know, and then you got to deal with like because you get aggregated by these pages that have very different audiences than yours, and so there's the immediate like, who the fuck said that? Ibou of WrestlePeers, the guy who just likes to suck Tony Khan's dick. And you click his profile picture, and like his header is like Donald Trump, and his profile picture is Austin Theory, you know, and then his bio says like AEW's for fucking marks. Shout out to like Solo Sikoa, and you're like, all right, you know, it's like cool, dude.
And some you lose some.
I guess so. But
so you mentioned sucking Tony Khan's dick a minute ago, and
right.
We need to talk about this because you and I have had a bit of a crisis today. Because like I've actually had enough of the like this was a good show, so therefore the power is back thing. I know it was originally a bit, and like Daniel Garcia made it part of his gimmick. Respect.
And so now everything is like the feeling is back when like Tony Khan drops the commander. Tony Khan drops a commander graphic, and people are like, "Oh, the feeling is fucking back," you know.
Right.
And it's
exactly that kind of drives me nuts. But I think the feeling's back.
We'll
and
see,
you know
man.
me, bro. I ain't that guy. I don't pull that trigger, but I got a good feeling. I don't know. I looked out today. The sun was shining bright, and
Joe, let's be honest.
I want to believe, bro.
You saw an FTR graphic and a Christian Cage graphic on the same night, and you were like, "Man,
True.
I love AEW." That's what happened. You saw the two graphics back to back, and you're like, "Man, I'm ready to just take on the world," you know. And I'll say this: obviously, Wrestle Dream was an excellent show, and as many people have noted, some people, I won't say that, but as many people have noted, it was not just a great wrestling show. It was a great show that had a lot of like interesting twists and turns, done in such a way that, arranged in such a way that incentivize you to watch the television. As I noted a couple nights ago, Joe, this is the first time in a little bit where I'm inclined to watch an AEW show, mainly because I'm just interested in like what the next story directions are, rather than just, yeah, man, like I think this card is pretty good this week, and these matches look interesting because I like this guy and that guy. It's wait, where are they going to take this thing in? What's going to happen with MVP? What's going to happen with, with this Bryan Danielson, John Moxley stuff? Like, who's going to be the first guy to step up? Is this guy going to maybe come back? Is this the week we see Bobby Lashley? Where's Samoa Joe? Let's see how this MJF thing goes now, so on and so forth. So, very, very interesting Dynamite tonight. And then doubly interesting, if nothing else, because there has been a bit of a creative shakeup. And so we will see, will that amount to anything that's tangibly noticeable? Who knows? I reported on the Raw review, which got aggregated by numerous people. I reported on the Raw review. I said that Jim Jacobs is gone, and that someone has gotten his position. Somebody has taken his spot, Joe. Yes.
Bruce Pritchard?
I think so. So we'll see. We'll see what happens to Dynamite in the Bruce Pritchard era.
Imagine that gets aggregated.
Yeah, right. Bruce Pritchard is allegedly. Jesus Christ. I got aggregated because on the Raw review, someone said, like, is Triple H annoyed or pissed off that, like, Ospreay didn't come to WWE? And I was like, yeah. And then, like, it was Cultaholic. It was like, Triple H pissed off that Will Ospreay it didn't go to WWE. And then, like, a bunch of people in the court's like, no, he's fucking not. No. Who the fuck said it? Ibou of Wrestle Purist? And I was like, all right, dude. Yeah, man. Here's the thing. Stephen A used to do this bit, Joe. And I'm not even a fan of the Stephen A. Smith. I actually think he's quite annoying, quite grating, and he's a bad Knicks fan. And he's not a representative of the Knicks fans. But he used to do this thing where the Knicks would have a good start to the season, and then they'd be like, they'd toss it over to him like, all right, Stephen A., are you ready to really just give your all to the Knicks this year? And he would be very hesitant, and he'd be like, you know I love my New York Knicks. I can't give them my heart. I can't give them my heart. Because if I give them my heart and they let me down, y'all don't want to see that. He would do that whole bit. And I feel like with AEW, I had reached a really nice thing this year, Joe. It was perfect because when the shows are just like whatever, it means nothing to me because I had officially reached the perfect nirvana, the perfect zenith where I just like the stuff that's good. And I just kind of throw my hands up at the shit that sucks. And I don't let it bother me. And I don't give a fuck. And I just move on my day. It was perfect. It was basically, you had to remove yourself to a bit arm's length, care a little, like 25% less, enjoy the good shit, and not worry about the bad stuff. It was perfect. But if I go all the way back in, now I'm gonna get stung by the shit that I don't like. So very dangerous. But FTR are wrestling tonight.
See, here's the thing.
Yes.
We're in similar spots on this, and I agree with you. There is a safety to not caring. But the peaks aren't as high when you don't care. You know? And you have to get on the roller coaster to experience the ups and the downs. And I'm ready to be hurt again. I'm ready to feel it. I want to live it again. I've been on the outside looking in, being like one of those like level-headed guys. Like, let everyone do what they want to do, you know. I'm one angle away, bro. If Samoa Joe goes face to face with Moxley in his current state, I'm gonna go nuts. I'm gonna lose my shit.
Listen, Joe, I'm happy for you. I'm really, really happy for you. And I support you. Okay. I really support you. I get it. I really do. I'll say this. I'm taking 3 steps closer. You know? Closer. Not enough to where the fire is going to burn me, but I'll feel the heat if you know what I mean. I'll tell you this. I don't think you'll get the shit kicked out of you for your enthusiasm tonight. I think tonight's show is going to be awesome. It would take a lot for tonight's show to be made. I'll say that. Like, I don't want to jinx myself because I do jinx things, but it would take a lot for tonight. Like, if you're on that Grin along, like, I don't know, folks, I'm kind of bummed out. That show was a little disappointing. Like, it would take a lot would have to go pretty poorly for that to happen because, like, the card is great. It's the fresh show off of pay-per-view. A lot of these are interesting. And I will say, Joe, because I loved the Chicago show All Out. I did love that show. Do you remember the post pay-per-view TV on that?
I certainly do. Yes, I do.
When you walked out, you were like, all right, Mary Chef and Jack Perry, huh? And it was interesting. But this should be better than that. And the wrestling should be more interesting. And like you, I'm excited to see Samoa Joe come back soon.
I think we've actually got a while yet, to be honest, but I don't know.
We'll see. But look, I'm excited for the show. Very much looking forward to it. Whether I'm all the way in or arm's length, I'm still gonna watch the shows. Like, you know, I watch the shows. It's just I don't know.
I don't want to be that guy. You know, I'm not the legacy game guy. But let's be honest, bro.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the big angle, it's now or never, innit? Let's be honest. Like,
He said when it comes to being angle, what?
when it comes to the big angle in
Mhm.
AEW, it's now or never. 6 months ago, Tony Khan got pile drove, and it meant absolutely nothing in like 3 weeks.
Yes.
If it isn't now, like this is if you're going to do a big angle, an angle that's going to change things, that's going to sweep us up, that's going to hook us, this is the one, bro. I mean, this is Moxley locked in. You know, this is American Dragon. Bryan Danielson just died.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
It was excellent. It was an excellent close to the show. And here's the thing: it sets AEW up in a way where they set it up for themselves to like produce some incredibly productive and interesting and engaging stories off the back of the ending of the pay-per-view. So listen, hopefully they execute.
You don't believe. I can tell you don't believe. You're just being supportive, but you think this is a mistake, don't you? Be honest.
Are you sensing doubt in my voice, Joe? Are you?
You're talking to me right now, like I'm saying that I want to, like, I'm going to transform my life. I'm going to fly out. You know, I'm going to move somewhere. You're like, yeah, go do your thing, man. Like, you'll be fine. That's the way you sound right now. Like I've told you, I'm going to go live in Tokyo or something. You know, like go for it, bro. Like whatever you want to do.
Go talk to her, man. Go ahead, just bring her the flowers, man. Hopefully it works out, dude. Go ahead and talk to her, dude. Like I hear you, man. You know, like I get it. I get it.
All right. We'll see how this goes for me. But there is something you mentioned to me before we went live here, because we don't have a format tonight.
No.
But we have like an idea of how to avoid going completely insane for reasons that will become clear in about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 15. So you did mention to me something that we are locked in on as a collective, which is not AEW, which is not Dynamite, which is not a promotion, it's a mere individual. That is, of course, JC Jane. And specifically, you clued me in on this, and I've already forgotten what it was. What is it that JC Jane's doing that we're locked in on, Ibou? Help me.
We're locked in on the fact that it appears that she will be challenging Kalani Jordan for the North American Women's Championship.
I mean, that's the most prestigious prize in all of sports, correct?
The Holy Grail.
The big one.
The big one.
Basically, if you win that, you're in the Hall of Fame, right? Basically.
Of course. So it's like, yeah. JC has a chance here to immortalize herself and to cement her career and her legacy. A career that, as we're seeing on the weekly basis, that it's really, I mean, my God, like the legacy is just crazy, you know? And the performances that we're seeing from this woman and the statistical brilliance, if she can win this, you're putting her in certain conversations. And you know the conversations I'm talking about. I'm talking about Monet. I'm talking about Charlotte Flair. I'm talking about Toyota, Nakano, Kong. Those conversations, you enter those rooms with those names, you know. And I think she can get it done, because here's the thing. Is she as fast as Kalani Jordan? No. Is she as dynamic as Kalani Jordan? No. Is she as athletic as Kalani Jordan? No. Is she as pushed as Kalani Jordan? Not particularly. Right. So she's none of those things. But she has heart, you know, Joe. She hustles out there. And we see it every fucking week. She finds a way to get to the basket. She finds a way to score. She finds a way to get to the free throw line. She's very savvy. Great footwork. The head fakes, the pump fakes, the jab steps. I think JC Jane has a chance to win the Women's North American Championship. And if she does, like we established, she's in those conversations.
I can't wait to find out. Do we, in a more broad conversation about NXT, do we think they're fucked? Do you think NXT, where do you think they're at in 3 months in this CW? Because I'm told you make a lot of enemies out of the NXT fans. I don't really know what's going on with that, so I'm just asking folks blind here. Do you think they're already?
You know what's funny is the Raw review, it's weird because there's like the regular WrestlePierce audience that you would think, but then there's like it's not all the audience, because like there's people who don't want to hear like WWE conversation. So you get this other new influx of people, right? And these are like WWE leaning fans. And anytime I say anything even mildly critical about NXT, they get really mad. And you know what my live chat has decided, Joe? They've decided that I just want NXT to be Mid-South. And I'm like, no, that's not what I said. Though, if it was like Mid-South, it would be a better show, you know? But listen, people are very protective of this program. It's very fascinating. SmackDown is a better show than NXT, in my opinion. But I like to kind of give it a little bit of a wedgie, and I'll just, for the fun, just to pop myself, I'll tweet SmackDown sucks. And you know what happens, Joe? Nobody, the SmackDown fan base, TM, all capitalizations on it. The SmackDown fan base, I'm like, SmackDown sucks, and they're like, well, fair.
Well, you can see I'm pretty good evidence of why we've packed it in, bro. We've all gone home. This fucking SmackDown squad. I mean, there wasn't many of us to begin with, but at this point, there's no one left.
The SmackDown squad, Joe, it's so funny because they're not a combative fan base. They just you throw a rock at them and say SmackDown fucking sucks, and they're like, look, we're trying here, man. Solo's really doing his best. You tell a Rampage watcher that Rampage is ass, they're kind of like, I like watching it, man. I don't know. I like watching it. But you say NXT fucking sucks, and these people are like, go fuck yourself, dude. Lexis King is a good character. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So here's the deal, Joe. Their go-tos are that I want to make it like Mid-South. The other go-to is you don't even fucking watch it, bro. If you actually watch the show, bro, if you actually sat through and watched NXT segment by segment, skit by skit, bro, you'd get it. And it's like, no, no, I've what people have twisted my words because I'm not a regular week to week watcher of the show cover to cover. They assume that I just don't know how the show works because I've seen a full episode of NXT before. And so what happened last night, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Monty made a tweet about two very aggressive matches that happened in the middle of the show.
Oh God!
They did Lexis King versus Oro Mensah, and Ashanti the Adonis versus Brooks Jensen. And I simply tweeted, "That's a little aggressive, Joe. That's a little aggressive." It's like, yo, Sean, chill out, dude. Fuck, God, I'll take one of those.
Yeah. The second one, I'd put that on my undercard, I think.
I was gonna say, nice little D level, MLW ass matchup. Like, all right, I could do that. That first one's crazy. So I tweeted everybody said they deserve the ratings decline that they're gonna face this week because there is no chance.
If this Brandon Thurston over there,
I said they fucking deserve. Joe, that 615 is gonna hit like crack. Because if 807, I'll admit this. If they do over 800,000 viewers this week, I'm going to throw my hands up and say, I don't know shit about wrestling. I don't know shit, clearly.
800 would be a lot. I feel like third week, they're back. I feel like if they do over 750, you're kind of fucked, ain't gonna lie.
Someone replied to me bro, they're going to do a good number. What are you going to say? I'm like, I was playing tough and much I won't care. But in my head, I'm like, I'll be fucked. Dude, if 770,000 people sat through
you're fucking it's over.
And then I just don't know shit about wrestling. But yeah, man, I tweeted that and I was just kind of like, dude, I said to someone was like, man, your hate of NXT disgusts me. And I'm like, I don't hate it. I just don't think it's good. What do you want from me? The weird thing about it is, and I said this so many times, I like a lot of the key components of their roster. I truly do. And Joe, you can vouch for this. I thought their show in St. Louis was lovely. I really did. I thought it was a really nice show.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, the one. You're like, huh? The one in front of what was it, 1,500 people?
That was a hell of a show.
Yeah, it was a really good show. It was a cool vibe. Everything, the matches were good. All of them were good. But they get back to that PC, Joe, and all of a sudden you start seeing the cast triples of the amount of people you see. There's like 17 nondescript blonde women in the background of every scene. It's like what's going on here? And then, people start emerging. They don't put name tags on anybody.
Well, you have to follow the product, but this is what people are trying to tell you.
I gotta see
Here's the thing.
a Duke Hudson pre-tape. I mean, not Duke Hudson, Ridge Holland.
Here's the thing. By doing this and being so firm in your stance against NXT, you're kind of standing in opposition to justice, if we're being honest. Because you and I are
standing in opposition to who?
To justice. To right. To what's all that's good in the world. Because you and I have stood I've won you over on this, and he has had no matches to prove it, but you're now in on All Ego Ethan Page. So we have to be more friendly to the show that is running back, for some reason, Ethan Page and Trick Williams for the third time.
What the fuck?
They've wrestled 2 singles matches. Trick's won them both. They've both been.
None of them have crossed the 3-star border.
No.
None of them.
But Ego holds the belt good. And he's kind of beast,
You know what's funny about it is Ethan's non-Trick matches are fine in NXT.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, we love Trick.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is, right? Like,
he is very cool, though. He's very cool.
Yeah. Which matters more. But his matches are, all you're getting those matches out of Trick is fucking crazy, bro. And I love Trick, and I'm like, that's crazy to me.
It's just, this Ethan Page thing is aggressive. Joe, this was going to be his 4th consecutive NXT pay-per-view main event.
He's the real deal. And this is the thing. The matches aren't good. The promos are decent. But there's something you can't deny. I mean, at some point, you just go, fuck, God bless. He's going to wrestle CM Punk at some point, bro.
Yes.
And we're going to be there, ready, locked in.
Since no one aggregation watches this show, I'll say it. They wanted to do it at Halloween Havoc. And Punk was like, fuck you, I'm going to go fuck my wife. Leave me alone.
There's way too many people watching this show say that, but okay. But the point is, they're going to do that. Last night, did you see he did a Punk? He went and came back. Did you see he did a Punk reference last night in his exclusive interview with WWE.com?
No.
He did the devil line. The greatest trick the devil ever. We did that.
Fuck off.
I'm being serious, bro. It's happening.
Fuck off.
I'm telling you, we're just getting started. This is a revolution, brother. When him and Josh Alexander are like the power trip on Raw.
So here's the thing. I'm locked in on that. I'll do some shameless performance art if Josh joins him, and we act like it's, I don't even know. We act like it's like Tenryu and Jumbo running things over there, and then
there's so much potential with it. If they get the tag belts and they hold them like Bockwinkel, both of them.
I think the reason why I yell at NXT, it's the same reason why I yelled at Jonah in New Japan. Allow me to explain. The former Bronson Reed wrestled in New Japan as Jonah. This is a man that would regularly invoke the names of Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader. I'm a big fan of both of those wrestlers. I'm a big fan of big hosses in Japan. And I thought, is Jonah going to save? He's going to save me. He had a match on a New Japan Strong show where he just kind of debuted and did a bunch of tsunamis on like some jobber. And Kevin Kelly was selling it so great, like, stop it, oh, stop it, God damn it, what is he doing? This guy's a monster. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. He had the match with Josh Alexander. That was excellent. The match with Josh Alexander at that TNA show. I think it was Hard to Kill, 2022. And so he goes to Japan, and I'm like, all right, maybe this is going to be something. And he fucking sucked. Like, he was awful in New Japan. And people pretended like he had Inoki Vader style matches with Okada. No, he fucking didn't. But the first match is like a 3.5, and the second one's like a 3. Go fuck yourself. Stop lying. And I, at that point, I decided this guy's the shits and I hate him. And that's what's happened with NXT. As depleted and unfortunate as the male roster is, I'm a fan of Paul Heyman, Joe. And I've seen Paul do more with less. I've seen Paul get more out of guys like Justin Credible, you know? And it is possible. It is possible to make a good show with a shitty roster. I've seen it. I have seen it. It is very possible. And they have a shitty men's roster, but a lovely women's roster. And I think it is possible with this very same lineup of people to put on a good show. The thing is, you cannot devote equal time to the people that suck with the people that are good. You have to delegate and you have to establish hierarchy and you have to accentuate your very top heavy male roster. You know, you take the Wesleys of the world and the Javon Evans and Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights and Trick and there has to be somebody else. You take those people, you kind of have them rise to the top of the water, so to speak, and you have them dilute the fucking Lexus Kings of the world and people like that. But no, they have to share the spotlight with and the time with those types of people.
But it's working, bro. They're a playoff team.
When that 600 drops today, I'm telling you, I hope it drops while we're on air. Probably not, but if it did, it'd be so sick.
But it seems like people like the show, Ibou. I don't know what to tell you.
They like it a lot, and it's just not right, Joe. Like it just.
Ethan Page is right.
You want to grab these kids by the collar and just wring their neck and just and open up a laptop and just show them AWA. You know, like you want to just this is how it's supposed to be. It's incorrect. It's not correct.
The win-loss record's favorable. They're trending up. They have Ethan Page. They have JC Jane.
They do. I like JC.
It's for the youth, is what I'm telling you. The young folk. It's their wrestling show. In 25 years, when you're doing a newsletter, at WWE Forever is going to be tweeting, life was so good when all ego Ethan Page was kicking ass on NXT on the CW. And everyone, all the replies are going to be like, man, that was the best time of my life. When NXT was rocking, Fatal Influence.
Can you imagine them showing like this era in snapshots and highlights, and it's just like it's just Trick doing the party whoop that Trick thing with the audience, and Javon doing his big cutters and shit, and you know you see like all the ladies like Julia and all that type of stuff, and they're like, man, what a time, what a fucking.
Of course I can, dude. I did a tweet a few months ago where it was like Deuce and Domino's fame,
and
it got like hundreds of replies saying like, man, this is when it was good, like. Every era of wrestling has that, bro. Like every single one of them has that.
Joe, remember that tweet I quoted of Mania 33?
Yeah.
Like in the replies of that main tweet, people are like, man, take me back to 2017. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck?
It's every era, and the era we're in now, the fans from this era are going to be insane.
Oh, because
like wrestling's actually popular now.
Yeah.
So the fans that like when the next generation of stars come through, there's gonna be fans like, man, this dude ain't got shit on Jey Uso, you know? Like, what is this?
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that just because it'll be funny, you know? Like, that must be how like the like hardcore turn your nose up fans who were like fans during the Attitude Era, but they were like, I like wrestling for like my Masawa tapes. Like that must be how they feel. Where like, you know what I mean? Where it's like you got Rock and Austin rocking the house, and you're just kind of like, I don't know, bro, Dean Malenko, man, you know, and like you fast forward 10 years later, and they're now the guys on like Segunda Cater or like other like kind of sites, you know what I mean? And like people go like, man, I miss when like Raw was popping, and they're like, it actually always sucked, and it's like, all right, you know, because there is always that guy. There is always like every era. That's the thing, like the misconception is like every boom period, like everybody was on board, and it's like the masses were, but there's always like the crop of like. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the dissenters. Yeah.
The hardcore fan of any given time is unlikely to be more into the popular promotion at that time. It's then the fan that is into the popular promotion as a youngster then becomes a hardcore fan, and then this cycle goes on and on and on forever.
You know what is cool though? The hardcore fan of like 1999, they do say that, or at least now in retrospect, you know, it's hard to tell then, it's iffy, but they do admit Steve ruled, you know.
They do now. There was definitely pushback from the smart fans about his in-ring, though, back in the olden days, you know?
I found an old forum from, like, 2000, and someone was just like, I'm just sick of, like, so much Rock and Triple H, man. Like, it's just gross. Yeah. And I'm like, and there was comments going like, and they don't even push Dean Malenko. And
because all of the debates we see today existed then. They just get lost to time, you know.
I was gonna say that, Joe. You're reading it like it's like Twitter or something. Like I do this occasionally, and I read them, and it's the same complaints. It's like Raw just feels the same every week. Triple H talks, Rock interrupts him. They do a tag in a main event. Benoit never gets enough time in the middle. It's just fucking. I'm sick of it.
Fascinating. It's a fascinating game, but it's sometimes hard. I actually think it's like one of the key things to do when you're doing this whole shit that we do, whatever this is that we do, is like separating like that week's conversation from what's actually worth talking about. Because like I joke about the legacy game stuff. Like someone has like 2 average matches and people are like, I wonder if it's over. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Even I'll say this. And I think Edge's Judgment Day run was horrible. Like, remember when Edge turned heel? Like, that whole period?
Yeah. Awful.
Really bad, right? When you really take a step away and look at it, it was like 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
That whole stretch, we were like, what the fuck is going on? Was 2.5 months when you take a step at it. It's like, it wasn't career damaging. You know? Yeah. It was a guy post-retirement in his veteran stage doing some bad shit for a little bit. So... there you go. One thing I want to make note of before I forget. The thing is, Joe, now fans they'll get nostalgic and lament things from literally like 2 months ago. You know what I saw the other day? I won't name the account, but it was a big WWE leaning blue check, and they went, man, those Judgment Day Clubhouse segments, man, good times. Fuck, man. And I was like 3 months ago, like 2 months. What the fuck?
They were pretty good, to be fair.
No, they were. Like, listen, that's the other thing is because people love to do like the whole like compilation videos on YouTube of like ruthless aggression, like invisible camera segments and things like that, right? And someone's probably gonna do like a Judgment Day compilation, you know, of like Carlito funny moments part 2 or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure. I'd imagine it exists already. To be honest, bro.
Probably. I don't consume that.
Do you think the Judgment Day stuff's like? I don't know, man. Like, I'm a fan of Finn Balor, but I don't know if they're going to be able to like get him to be the like a main event heel leader of a group. Is that what they're trying to do? I don't know.
You know what's funny, Joe, is remember the heights the mixed tag reached in Berlin?
Yes.
Yeah. My boy Michael Hamlet said on Rock Culture's podcast today, he was like, they should have just took that, high-fived each other, and went like, all right, let's just end it here, you know? Because
for real though, that's like, I mean,
because that was a dramatic, like, he's like, I had a feeling that was gonna be fun, but that was quite strong. That was like, that felt like that, you know, that type of like special that certain WWE mixed tags feel like the Ronda match at Mania. Yeah. It felt like that type of thing, right? And it's like when you get that good, it's like, yo, everybody fucking high five, pack it in, and let's just like move on. And they thought, the company thought, because WWE's arrogant. They're like, oh, people fucking love this shit. All right, let's split it off now, guys. We'll do 2 Judgment Day matches in the next pay-per-view. And then they both weren't like or whatever. And did you hear what they did on TV this week regarding the Judgment Day, Joe?
I saw someone mention that they like split, like Rhea and Damien were kind of separated.
Joe, Triple H subliminally with 3 different like segments went like, folks, it's over. It's like, guys, it is
no more.
because Finn Balor the week before, it was a legitimate retcon. Finn Balor the week before was all like, oh, I'm not done with you, Damien. I want a rematch, Damien. And then this week they filmed the because it was a tape show. They added this very clearly like filmed later in the week pre-tape where Balor's with the JD, and he's like, we're gonna talk to Pierce. I'm gonna get my rematch. And he goes up to Pierce, and Pierce is like, fuck you, fuck that rematch. Fuck this Damian Priest shit. I gave you guys a month to deal with that. You got to go defend the tag belts because you guys are tag team champions. So that's what you're going to do right now. I'm going to make a tag tournament. You're going to defend your belts. Enough with Damian Priest. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then later in the show, Joe, they did another thing with another clearly filmed pre-tape. This felt like it was filmed in a hotel lobby. It looked so funny. It was a location I've never seen before. Damian Priest goes up to Rhea like, you need help tonight? And she's like, no, I think I'll be good, Damian. He's like, listen, I'll always be on your side. I'll always fight the Judgment Day if you need me, but it's time to move on, and I think I'm gonna do what I need to do and become El Campeón again. And she's like, yeah, you do that. I'll deal with Judgment Day going forward. You don't worry about it or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing. And I'm like, WWE basically went, look, fuck this. All right, guys, everybody, let's all just walk away. Let's just
So
leave it alone.
I don't. So I'm not searching for a scoop here because I, as you know, actively want us to avoid them for everyone's safety. But like, is there? I want to word this carefully because I like Finn Balor a lot. But is there like any conversation about like the fact that he's just to me, and it kind of pops me. So I don't even mean it's an insult, but he just appears to be like he's in like when boxers are in sparring partner mode. You know, they're just content to go the distance and like.
So, all right, I'll put it to this way, because
Okay. You don't have
reality
to, but yeah.
to the creative team, reality is setting in on like what he is in this sense.
Right.
They, in Triple H's mind, he thought Balor Priest was going to be this like really godly thing. He was like, oh baby, you know, and everybody saw that match and they were like,
It was It was just like every Finn match from the last 2 years, unfortunately.
He literally did his 3-star Raw match where he's just kind of like, he's gonna do some holds, you know, and then do a sling blade and, you know, do
which is sweet. It's like it's a lovely 3-star match.
Yeah, like it's super professional. But yeah, and so once that happened, they're like, all right, well, you know, he can still be in the tag division and do that thing with JD, and we'll just pivot. So yeah, they here's the thing, because I will give this regime this credit. They do adjust things based on the level of certain people's performances. Not always, you know, certain people, it's, you know, but I'll give an example. I'll give an example, Joe. Remember Blair Davenport?
No.
Exactly. So that's my
that was my bad, dude. That was mean. I'm sorry. No,
bro. You didn't watch that week's TV. She wrestled Naomi in like a 9-minute match. I think I might go -1 on that.
They had very bad chemistry and they were like paired together. It was very
Joe, that match had people going on time like, yo, man, I don't know about Naomi, man. Is she good?
Well, the thing with Blair is like I just didn't see how I didn't see Blair's route to like getting over with the main roster crowd, you know, like she doesn't really have like a shtick.
So here's the thing. She didn't have one, and then Hunter was like, I got it. Trust me, guys. We'll put her with Alba and Isla.
What does that do?
And then that did nothing. And he was like, well, fuck. I don't know.
Because Alba and Isla have like they've got like a bit of a part of the show now, right? Like they're kind of part of the. If you were to rank the division, they actually at least have a place in the division.
Yeah,
whereas a lot of the talent,
their job is to bump for Io Sky and Hour 2.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do it without naming names. All right. We haven't promoted super chats for a reason because the last time we did this, folks, we felt we got away from our core purpose on this program.
It was obscene. People were like, Joe, the Wrestle Pure super chats have gotten out of fucking control.
Oh, I know. I was on Worldwide 100, brother.
They have got people are now asking me, what does Paul Heyman think of Zoe Stark? And like, what
saddest podcasting moment ever. Worldwide 100. When it was like an hour and a half in, maybe, and you threw out that Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman with the match of the year. And it was basically your way of like trying to like wake me up and engage me because you know I'd fire back. So like Ibou said this and I like snapped into motion and we did this sort of like the equivalent of when like old Japanese graps legends trade chops at 60, you know, like
I was gonna say literally it's like Fujinami goes in the ring with like Naoki Sano and like a 6-man. They're both fucking 60 years old and usually he's like and they're throwing these really awful elbows to each other.
Just trying our best.
Cork and Hall respectful claps as it's happening and shit. And you're watching like, this is pathetic. This is fucking...
I'm just sitting there like Anna's like doing half-hearted like what will happen on NXT talk? Come on. I felt like when Kurt Hennig went back to the WWF in 2002 and just like what's happened around here, man? every super chat is just like a scoop question. Like it was great. Monty legitimately had to read super chats for like an hour and a half, bro. It was fucking nuts.
Yeah, I think I told Monty this. I forgot who I said. I was like, I'm not a podcaster anymore. I'm a super chat reader. Like I go on air and read super chats, and then it's time to go home. You know?
Speaking of such, without mentioning them, we have actually compiled quite a few. We're gonna go through these folks. We're trying to do our best. Yes, we have. We haven't mentioned it once. We have 14 of them waiting for us. So, the one thing I will say, folks, is like the video. And a reminder that when we're winding down here, we have an announcement which will be done via Twitter. But I'm going to send you guys and I'll put it on the screen. We'll do a whole thing with it. I've got a plan. If you don't, what was you going to say, mate?
You know what's funny? Yesterday on the Raw Review, because AO lately in Raw Review, I'm really proud of this. It's turned into this like unpredictable Forbidden Door type of show where it's less a Raw Review and more like I go live for 2 hours and anything can fucking happen. Am I going to review Raw on a given week? It's a total toss-up, crapshoot, roll the roulette. One guy actually sent a super chat like, "Hey guys, I know the show is changing, but like before you read these super chats, can you please tell me what you thought of the show?" He literally said this was Karthik. He was like, "Hey guys, like I get it, you know, I totally do. Did you like Raw though?" And me and Rob were like, "Yeah, we did, yeah." And it's like, so anyway,
what great super chat. That's awesome.
You can tell he felt bad. You can tell he was kind of like, "Look, man, I get it, guys. I know it. You're having fun, but I do want to know if you liked Raw."
That rules. That's tremendous.
But what I was gonna say is, so AO has been passing by, right? But then yesterday, he was there with us for most of the show, and I did my thing at the end. Where I was like, "Thank you, AO, for passing by." I was like, "No, I didn't pass by. I was very much here, and I will be sending Monty my invoice because I will be getting paid from the show." I just thought that fair. And he was like, "I'm dead serious."
Good for him. Rightly so. That's the way it should be, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, let's have a look here. Mid takes. Best blade jobs that added to the match's emotion. For me, it's HBK at SummerSlam 02 or Dustin at Double or Nothing 2019. Also, what's the next Grin Grappler? The next Grin Grappler is Razor Ramon. Immediately on blade jobs, I have to go to Eddie and JBL.
Eddie. Oh, we both on Eddie. That literally like that added a star and a half instantly to that match, like the second it happened.
Yes. And obviously it's one of those things where like I tweeted about recently and some people didn't like they felt kind of way about that, and that's fine. Obviously it was like dangerous, and obviously Eddie went too far and like was scared afterwards. Like, all of these things are true, but in the moment it was fucking beast. That's like, you know, all of these things can be true at the same time, right? So I think Eddie and JBL, I mean, that match made JBL, dude. He says it himself all the time.
It reminds you, Joe, of because you touched on the danger part there. There was some guy that replied to me like, "So you think?" Because I think it was I think some guy was trying to concern Troll about Punk hitting Drew with the toolbox, and I said, "This is fucking beast." And the guy was like, "Do you think Chairshot said header beast?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yes.
I was like, "Yes." It's like,
beast does not necessarily mean like safe or well advised. That's like often beast actively means the opposite of those things.
Yes.
So
you shouldn't. Certain things that'll make you a legend and immortalize you shouldn't. Mick Foley shouldn't have taken those Hell in a Cell bumps in the Undertaker match. I wouldn't recommend that on any human being. But it's beast. So.
Dude, we see bumps every week that are terrible ideas.
Yes, exactly.
But they're beast. You know, both things can be true. Cena versus Umaga is also a great play job. Also, so there's a couple for sure. And again, Scott Hall is the next Grin Grappler. We're going to be doing that. We haven't got a date yet. It's kind of in. It's some moving pieces. I'll keep you guys updated. Riley, hope your lads doing well.
Last great Scott. We're not even do great because it's WCW. But what's the last good Scott Hall match? And you could even do it with the Outsiders. It's probably going to be a tag from '97, I'd imagine, right? It's certainly going to be
one of those NWO matches. Must be fun, dude.
No. It's not as dire as you. I'll say it's not as dire as you would think. It's not like someone told you find me some Virgil matches, make it happen, and you're like, fuck, dude. You know, like there are some like, you know, Hall Nash 6 versus like. You know,
oh yeah, some of those are definitely good. Yeah, my bad. I meant when they go back, when they go to the WWF as NWO.
Oh,
are any of those good?
I'll tell you what. I have a hot take. I might regret this if I actually look it up. I find myself popping at every single 2002 Scott Hall WWF match. All right. Does popping mean it's good? you know. But here's the thing, Joe. WWF, it's still 0-2. The crowds are still hot, right? The TV matches, he finds himself opposite like a top guy bumping his ass off. That's what he's doing for most of his matches. And like, for example, have you ever seen Rock and Austin versus Hogan, Hall, and Nash?
I have not, but it's actually on my watch list due to
You've
being
never
about.
seen that?
No.
Wow, yeah. So like even that match, like it's like a cage match 6, I think, or something, but it's just really hot and Puro style. The fans just like pop at all the interactions, like it's like a dream match scenario. Because it's like you'd like Rock would be across Razor, and Rock would do like the Razor like surfboard the pose thingy. He does that, kind of taunting him, and then like Skull's looking at him like oh, you piece of shit, and they're like mocking each other, and it's just fun, you know. But so like I guess the better way to say it is like Scott Hall's WWF stuff is actually surprisingly watchable. Is like the better word I should say.
Right. Like I mentioned Kurt Hennig earlier, and
It's unfortunate.
Kurt's TNA run is like sad to watch, like sincerely so, you know.
You're like wincing and like looking through your, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The last good Scott Hall match, and this has no reason to be good, but it is good. I promise. Go watch it. Is the stun gun ladder match with Bam Bam? Legitimately good. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, that was like 1999's Super Bowl, I think, or sold out. Super Bowl or sold out.
That is the Nitro leading to the pay-per-view of Goldberg, where they do the stun gun ladder match, which is on the pay-per-view you're referencing, as far as I remember. I could be wrong.
I was gonna say, I know I always like to needle at you by saying I like 1998 WCW. It just pops me.
Piece of shit.
It just pops me to say it and annoy you. Every time I go back and watch WCW, and my threshold is kind of different than yours, and I do have slightly different. We overlap on a lot, but I have my like sensibility circle, I guess, has weird like access points that extend a little past yours, and so I say all that to say, I can get as far as May '99 before I tap out.
Jesus. I can't, dude. When Warrior comes in, like that's like,
I'll say you. It hits like September, October '98. You're like, fuck this.
I find the Brett stuff to be like demoralizing because Brett's one of my all-time favorites, and WCW is like my all-time favorite wrestling vibe. And the fact those two things went as poorly as they did together is very sad to me.
Yes, but then like you get Bam Bam like running through security fighting Goldberg, and Goldberg's in a cool like.
That stuff's good. The Bam Bam stuff is actually fun with Goldberg when he first comes in.
Yeah, and you get, I don't know, you get fucking those random like Hoovy Ray Kidman, like that whole trio doing cool things.
There's still stuff. It's just broken, dude.
Bro, listen.
It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's wrong.
It's like 2023 AEW times 25.
Yes, 100%. Like there's good stuff, but it doesn't feel right. You feel uneasy watching it. Right. Speaking of things you feel uneasy watching, Hiroshi Tanahashi's our next topic here. Fantasy book Tanner's last years from Riley. You could do any match in any company, just make it fun. Let's do a handful of Tanahashi matches. All politics off the table. Let's do some wrestling matches. What do you think? What comes to mind?
Even though they're both unfortunate, you got to do him and Minoru Suzuki.
100%, yeah.
You do that in front of 6,000 people. It's really respectful. They trade forearms and shit.
Yes.
You got to do that one.
What are we going to do a Cena singles match, or are we going to do a tag to be polite?
Let's do a polite tag. Let's not leave the memories alone. Oh my
Who can their partners be? Okada and Orton?
That match is gonna suck. Randy Orton's the best wrestler in the match, but
I'm trying to think of like who they're, because I don't think Cena and Tanahashi would be good at this point, but like them being in the ring is worth it,
I said that in a super chat on Monday because I was saying how like in 2017 I actively wanted to see that match, and if it happened in 2017, it would be a 2017 day 4.5. If that match happened now, it'd be actively awful. But is it just me? Like, isn't it kind of weird, like how quickly Cena's decline happened? Is it just me? Because like I thought he was like actively phenomenal like 7 years ago, and then like
It's a rhythm thing, bro. It's just he can't. He isn't. His talent is in other areas, and he's not one of those guys who can just like step back in a ring and be John Cena.
yeah,
Like
he can't.
he can't do it, and now he has to worry about like food, like movie insurance. Like fuck that. Like that stuff's impossible to wrestle with, dude.
Yes, yeah, bro. Do you remember Indiana Fastlane, that tag match where it was him and LA Knight versus like Jimmy and Solo?
Despicable.
He was like that was unacceptable. He just fucking he was just like, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna like sell. Another Tanahashi match. You gotta have something where you need a trios match where his team is him, Shibata, and Nakamura.
Yeah, you do. You're right. But then who would be the? Would you do like the new generation, the opposite? That kind of lame though, right?
Could you imagine if they just dusted off like you could? I mean, you could do Nagata, Kojima, and Tenzan. They are all technically active. The hilarious part about that, Joe, is that team is older, and they'd be the collectively better team.
Yeah, probably. I guess I don't know.
Because
Yeah, maybe.
Team Tanahashi is going to be leaning on Shibata for offense, which is crazy. And Team Nagata, like Nagata could give you a little bit on a certain night. Kojima's a hooper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his game has aged so gracefully.
Yes, and then Tenzan's fucked, but he can still give you a Mongolian chop.
Yeah, I'm trying to. What's like the good like the AEW match, like Forbidden Door, London, England, the perfect Tanahashi match against an AEW guy is who?
I'll tell you what they would book and which one I want. So they would
Okay.
book ZSJ, and it's like, okay.
Oh god, they've done it so many times. It's always good, but God Almighty,
Yeah, it's like enough. It would be ZSJ. What would work for Tanahashi? Because like Pac would kill him. It would be unfortunate. Like Pac would.
It would be a good. It'd be a good wine match. Could slow it down for him. Christian Cage. Christian Cage. Let's get Chrissy in there. Take it easy. Just take it slow.
If Danielson was healthy and he wasn't retired, he would be able to have a 3.5 with Tanahashi.
Dude, Tanahashi and Kenny from the Dome,
yeah,
he's fucking unbelievable, man.
It's amazing.
Like the last time I watched it, it was like, is that one of the best wrestling matches ever? I haven't watched it in a bit, but that was like how high I was last time I saw it.
I gotta go back because I'll tell you this: I have not seen it since the moment it happened. I watched it in real time, and I have not seen it back. In real time, I gave it 5 stars. But for whatever reason, I think because wrestling was moving so fast at the time, and AEW started up like right after that, you kind of like take your mind off of it. But it was like you couldn't like really sit with it, I guess is my point. But it was amazing.
Yes. The last thing on Tanahashi, I'm always upset we didn't get this in 2022. The Punk match was right in front of us.
Oh yeah,
what a shame! That would have been great in 2022, bro. It really would have been.
It's funny because Tanahashi was past his prime in 2022, but that Tanahashi compared to now, like it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like
he's that Moxley match. He's fabulous in that Moxley match, dude. Yeah, good God.
His skills, his body is eroded, unfortunately. 2021, I'd still say he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he was fucked. He was physically fucked, and he's one of the best in the world.
And Jen said, this is a quote, surgical strike on R.D. Evans. # end him. No comment. Anthony, the Blue brand acquiring Motor C Machine Guns is a win for Team Blue. I'm sorry, bro. I think it's over. I gotta be honest.
I will say, Joe, that is a great pickup, and I don't care what you say. That 3-segment match with the Garza is gonna rock.
It's just, is it really what we need? Do we need? I mean, I love Motor C Machine Guns. I'm thrilled for them.
Joe's like, do we need another dunker? Can we get some rebounding?
Is this what this program needs? I just can't help but ask that question. But I'm thrilled for him, really. I
mean, let's look at this, Joe. You're saying this is what this program needs. All the work rate's coming from like 2 guys.
I think as a tag team, they still have great matches.
Mm-hmm.
If he has a singles match on SmackDown, I think people in the crowd may actually like like ask what's going on. They will be so confused by what's going on. You know, his matches now are outrageous, and I like most of them because they're pervert matches. Like if he gets a singles match against Andrade and starts doing all these chain wrestling stuff, kids
Well,
are gonna be crying, bro.
yo, Shelly and Andrade.
It'd be sick. It'd be sick.
Them having a totally out of place match in the second hour of SmackDown. You know what's funny about that though, Joe, is I'll disclose it here. There's a certain guy in Gorilla, I won't say who is a total Shelly pervert, who's just like, this is a fabulous professional wrestler.
I wonder who.
This man is magnificent. Look at how he transitions.
He's a great pro. Great pro.
And Hunter like is fake tapped in is the way I would use it. He's like fake tapped in, and so in his mind is like the Guns of a couple years ago, and he's just like, yeah, they're ready, let's go. And it's like, all right, okay.
That's crazy.
I already projected this on the Raw review when someone was asking about. I told them exactly what's going to happen, Joe. From now to the end of the year, this is what's going to happen. They will absolutely have a couple Dave 4s with DIY and the Profits. Some of these will be in the main event of some of these go home Raws. None of this will make any premium live events. By the end of the year, their cage match will have 5 cage match 7.5s, and they will all get beaten by God.
Sounds good to me. I like the last part. Thank you, Anthony, for the super chat. In all seriousnness, I'm actually so happy for them guys. For real. Like, good God, man.
Joe,
what a journey it's been, huh?
Joe, the reality setting in for me that because I'm wondering why are God so protected and so strong, and it's really set in for me. These fuckers are working the Usos.
Oh, God, that could be. Oh, that will test me. That could be quite bad.
You know what?
The crowd's gonna be hot though, man. So
you know what? I have a hot take. I said this yesterday, and I'm slightly more bullish now. Even because here's the thing: this is gonna feel like in 2016 when people hated Roman, Joe. In 2017, it was a weird feeling because it was like he's not bad. It's just that I'd rather watch Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That was my feeling. And now with God, I gotta say, Joe, this is one of the best runs of their career.
That says more about their career, and I like
True. I'll just true. You know, AO check, Joe. Their highest rated match ever in their life happened like 3 weeks ago.
The ladder match, right? Has to be the ladder match.
Dave gave it 4.5.
The Briscoe stuff was their actual best stuff before WWE. That stuff was like actually pretty fun.
You know what's funny though? I didn't when I watched 2017 New Japan, maybe it was just like the rose tinted, like everything is amazing, I love this promotion vibe. But at the time, I thought they were godly. And then you realize, no, they're just like fine, but like
they're like these people are gonna not like this, but I've seen all the matches, so I can say it. They're like Hall of Heat in that like they're really fucking cool looking. Well, one of them was. The other one was kind of funny. Again, they're not as cool looking as Harlem Heat, but Harlem Heat's matches are like, there's not really many good ones, is there? I mean, we're being honest about it, and that's fine. But their music would hit, and they had that cool theme that I can't remember right now. I can't remember what it was. The God theme that people used to sing.
It's impossible to do an impression of the song.
You get what I'm saying, though, right? They had a theme.
Yes, cool. I remember.
And they used to walk around. Tama would have like paint.
Tama would do that little thing with his hands, you know.
They're like baby Harlem Heat and things of that nature.
That's when are we getting the God Grin grappler?
We're not. Simon it's got to be OC Box 3 at Full Gear. It feels like that's what they're doing because Orange was like, I mean, they did that Jerry Lynn segment that was like bat signal stuff. So
yeah, wrestling loves and nah, this will get aggregated, so I won't say that. But wrestling loves signposting things now. Like they don't like. I guess I should like it because at least it suggests a plan. But like both WWE and AEW, they love doing this thing of like, this is your thing next month. This is the thing that we're doing. That's the plan. It's like cool. WWE's way of doing it is someone does an interview Jackie Redmond and some fuckers in the background is like staring at him and he like walks away.
And they tell like Mike Johnson like this is the next main event, Mike. You know, something like that. Something kind
of right now, Joe, there's a funny thing going on where a couple outlets, including myself, are like, yeah, it's CM Punk and Gunther at Survivor Series, and the WrestleVotes is like, yeah, it's Gunther and Goldberg.
What the fuck? Is that a real report?
He said it in like it was a Q&A on his like show today, and he was like, yeah, I could see Goldberg getting involved in Saudi and spearing Gunther, and that being the Survivor Series match. I could definitely see that.
No, it's got to be Punk, I think. I don't know. I don't really. I'm happy to see both of those, to be fair. Very different matches, but
here's the
I'll
thing.
watch them.
I have no problem with Gunny and Bill,
Yeah.
but that feels like a novelty Saturday Night's Main Event-y type of thing, like it's like,
yeah, because it doesn't need time either. It's like a 4-minute match.
Exactly. So on a 2-hour or 3-hour broadcast, like that can just take up a 6-minute block of TV.
Yeah. War Games. Look, let's be honest. There's a good chance the War Games match is going to suck. Because we'll leave that there. And so you need like Punk and Gunther can have a great, like a classic match. I think.
Plus Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes with Kevin Owens as the heel.
There you go.
That's the thing. It's like it almost. Remember your feeling going into Money in the Bank where you didn't give a fuck about the ladder matches, but like the stuff around that was like interesting to you. It's gonna be similar where like who the fuck knows how good the War Games matches will be, but 2 4-star plus title matches like that does like kind of help it.
Yeah. And the War Games match will have heat. So,
yes,
we shall see. Andrew says, conversations about Mercedes Moné if match is bad tonight. The match is going to be...
It's going to be 9 minutes, bro. Like,
it's going to be 9 minutes. It's going to be 3.25.
Yes.
The big test is that if she gets a pay-per-view match with Stat, that's the one that I'll actually like, okay, this is, the TV matches. She can have TV matches in her sleep. She's done it on AEW TV.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's already like the pattern is already established. Like we know what the Mercedes Moné TV match is. It doesn't overreach what that's going to be, and it doesn't underdo it. It's going to be a 3.25, and it's going to be very well worked and very tidy, very tidy.
Yeah, she's too polished to have shitty matches on TV. Like the pay-per-view matches is where she's trying to be more ambitious, and they've been a little bit spooky thus far. Not all of them, but the last couple for very different reasons.
Forgive me for my background. I'm making fried rice, but
okay.
To make up for it, Joe, up for it, I can give you an additional 30 minutes today.
All right, mate. Right, folks, there you go, folks. That's the trade here.
It's like, you got to hear me make fried rice, but I can stay longer.
Okay. Only on Hanging with Hulbert. Hush says something safe to say Cody is not a wine wrestler. Well, Ibou swayed me on this because you use that phrase wine angles.
He has wine angles. Yeah. In fact, he did a wine angle on Friday. So go fuck yourself, Hush. I don't know if you saw this, Joe, but so WWE is treating the Kevin Owens incident like it's Brawl Out. Where like they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to acknowledge it.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
They don't want anyone to speak about it, and they asked Cody about it on the various TVs. He's just kind of like, yeah, the matter's being handled internally, and we'll leave it at that. And it's that type of thing. And then on TV, Kevin Owens was asked to not be at Raw at SmackDown, and he interrupts like a match that was about to start up. He runs right in the ring to just interrupt the match, overrun in exchange for Ibou fried rice. Hell yeah, and he's just kind of trying to call out Cody Rhodes, and security's pulling him out. Cody's breaking through security to fight with him. Like it's a chaotic situation. Later on in the show, we find out that like Kevin Owens attacked Randy Orton. There's no footage of it because it wasn't a setup, pre-tape thing. It's like if someone just attacks a guy, why is there a camera there to catch the attack? You know what I mean? So they did this thing where like he just beat up Randy, and you saw Randy like kind of knocked out by a tour bus, or he's like kind of grabbing himself. And then they did this thing, Joe, online where there's like CCTV footage of it, like the like security footage of him attacking Randy. But yeah, and then Kevin Owens did a social media video where he's kind of like,
I saw that one where he was like, I've sent him a video. That one, right?
Yeah. So there's a little bit of like O2 WWF in it, but like it does the wine element is Cody running out there in the pull apart, and in general, Cody does wine angles.
So do we think Kevin is actually going to have like a good reason?
I'm not sure, because I'll admit this, Joe.
Yes, man. This
is pretty potent information yesterday. You know what I love? The stuff that probably should get aggregated for me doesn't, but then like Triple H pooped himself gets aggregated, but like
it sounds like you're sitting by a fire. Like you're in there.
I said that Joe. Originally, Steve wasn't going to turn heel. He wasn't gonna turn, and they ended up making him turn. And my theory, Joe, is that the decision to turn him came when Jimmy Uso became okay. Because you and I both know it was a little weird for like.
Yeah, it did get weird. I was scared.
Yes, it got weird, and I don't care what anybody says or what everyone hides. Joe, Jay has to now defend his IC belt against Braun next week. Like, it feels like
they're accelerating that part. They're going back to Bloodline Civil War.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah,
it feels like they switched to another side and they went, oh wait, Jimmy's alive. Okay, we'll go back to this thing.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? Oh, so I don't know what the explanation is going to be. All I know is I think the Kevin Owens turn was a pivot to give Cody a non-bloodline thing that feels big for Survivor Series.
Very interesting. What I've seen of it has been very well done. Kevin Owens, I think our opinions on him are established.
Yeah, Randy's been a little skit stuff too. Like he Aldis was telling Cody to calm the fuck down by like outside, and Randy was like, "Look, man, look, Cody, I'll talk to this guy. I don't know what's going on. You just get in your tour bus, get out of here. It's fine." And like Aldis looked at Randy and he was like, "Look at you! Look at how much you've grown up and matured. Like you've now become the voice of reason."
And you know what that's leading to. Right? You know what that's leading to.
What I hope it isn't is like some hokey like Randy being like, I was the puppeteer and I showed Kevin Owens like the video to make him think this.
It shouldn't be that. It should be more that like he actively does intend to do right, but he just can't help himself either. They're doomed, right? Him and KO are both just pieces of shit, man. It is what it is. They're snakes.
They're fucked. Exactly.
Sway says Ibou a closet NXT fan. I think we discussed this.
Not particularly.
No, big Ethan Page guy though, right?
I guess.
Sway also said Cookie Joe keep going.
You know what's nasty about it, bro? That's hilarious. Cookie Joe. You know what's nasty though is did you see the stipulation for Ethan Page and Trick Williams?
Was it Iron Man?
That would be the worst match of the year.
Could you imagine?
That would be the worst match of the year. Like it would just be it would be the worst match. No, it's what the fuck do they call this bullshit? Devil's Playground match. That's the stipulation.
What does that mean?
No DQ, but with like, Halloween designs on
the for fuck's sakes. And that's the main event.
Well, we don't know. Because they also scheduled Joe, Julia, and Stephanie versus Roxanne and Cora. And I decided I'm all in on this.
Yeah, I think you want this thing to be good, this Cora Jade, Roxanne, like double act thing. I don't know.
I want it to be as good as long as they're working Stephanie and Julia. After that, I don't give a fuck. Does that make sense? Yeah. I need them to be good for these ladies.
That match should be good, right? And that would be very tightly produced too.
I think it's going to be very good, to be honest with you. I'd go as far as to say it'll be the match. I won't say best. It'll be the match I like the most on this fucking NXT Halloween Havoc deal. And I'll tell you what, Stephanie and Julia look great on TV. This match will be very fun. And it'll be preceded by, or followed by, Ethan Page going through a fucking table that has cobwebs and candy corn on it. Life isn't fair.
Imagine Ego wins the belt.
Yeah.
And they just keep going forever.
You know what? If he wins the belt, Joe, we got to go live on your channel.
Oh, 100%.
I don't even know what to do, but just to like laugh for 30 minutes. Like,
yeah. Same if JC Jane wins that other belt, whenever the fuck that's going to be, we have to like an emergency celebration.
Joe, you title the video like pay-per-view of the year? Question mark.
Hodge says, Big Joe, how we feeling? Big Jim back on the blue brand. He toughed it out on Friday. He looked fucking exhausted after 3 or 4 minutes of that match.
Wait, you actually watched it?
I reviewed it, bro. I reviewed it.
Oh my god.
So I didn't think it was terrible.
Joe, I'll say this: it was better than WrestleMania.
Oh, easily, but the crowd loved it, didn't they?
Yes.
This is the thing. It reminded me of those 80s WWF matches where the guys don't do anything, but the people are rocking. Like they were chanting "Usos," Solo sucks. I mean, they were with it. I just do not get it. And I know everyone's bored of me talking about this one, but I just don't get the obsession with Solo having matches work that way. I just don't get it. Like, he's never going to be Jacob, but it's like, fuck, like, why is he taking like 8 minutes, 9 minutes of heat? Like, who do they think he is, Gunter? Like, let him do Samoan drops, super kicks, and shit like that, you know? It's so weird, dude.
It's. I remember when I told you, I was like, "Yo, they did Jimmy versus Solo." You were like, "What the fuck?"
I was so mad because it's like sabotage without realizing it.
What if
You know?
What if you woke up and you heard news like Solo had a 3.5 on SmackDown? You'd be jumping out your bed. You know, you'd be fucking.
Dude, that when I was watching that cage match, I thought I was on drugs. I was like, I was just watching it like this can't be really happening. I thought that match was great, as you know. I got very carried away, but
Did you see what Dave gave it?
he gave it the same as me.
Didn't he? What did he? He went like
four and a quarter, brother. 4 and a quarter, same as me.
Realized my icon isn't popping up on YouTube. That's very strange. Right?
Yeah, it changed when you left and came back. It changed.
Oh, and I didn't even leave. That was just a Wi-Fi glitch.
Oh, yeah. But it happened like, you know, when you were doing the bit about is JCJ more athletic? It happened then. It was so funny. Like, you just left in the middle of the conversation.
That's insane. All right, well, I'm going to come back in like 2 seconds.
All right. Okay. So that's how I'm feeling. I love Big Jim. I think it's pretty obvious the Usos are going to be back together soon. So I'll be locked in for that. Singles Jim is these are the games we play. Ibou is back. Look at this stat. Solo has 3 4 and a quarters in a row before the Jimmy match.
What?
That's a stat right there.
What?
It's the Atlanta tag.
Okay.
The ridiculous SmackDown main that Dave went fucking nuts on for some reason. Gave 4 and a quarter. And then the cage match, yeah.
Didn't he also give the SummerSlam match a good score?
He gave like 4, I want to say, yeah.
They think Solo Sikoa is fucking Bill Goldberg. Like,
this is his best take in years. Razor said, what was Paulie and oh god, it's Razor. Razor said, what was Paulie and Reigns' reaction to Punk's return? How's Edge's recovery? Big switch there. All right, let's do this one by one. I feel like you've answered this. What was Paulie and Reigns' reaction to Punk's return? Would they sell that kind of thing? Like what?
No,
what would the reaction be?
Roman didn't sell it, and Heyman's happy Punk's back.
Yeah. How's Edge's recovery?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Joe, what version of Punk, face Punk?
I actually could find that out, but I don't know at the moment.
What version of face Punk do you like? 2011 or I would say in ring, he's always been a great babyface. As a character, I think I would say 2011 because he had the renegade shtick. In 2021, you were always kind of waiting for him to be a piece of shit, which is why the Eddie thing was so great. News on Bob Lash, I presume it's just that he's coming, right? Wait for it.
He was supposed to debut at Wrestle Dream.
Yeah.
They opted not for it because they didn't want it to be redundant with a couple other angles on the show.
Probably the right call.
Yeah, so I'll give you this. The segment that you saw on the pay-per-view was written that exact same way with Bobby coming out at the end. And when they didn't like change the segment, they just took out the payoff.
So I think, and this is not scooping, I'm just guessing, I honestly think they might like take some time with this because it kind of feels like Shelton and Swerve can be its own mini chapter on TV, you know? You could probably steal a TV main event out of that, I think. Maybe.
Yes, but they wanted Swerve and Bobby for Full Gear.
We'll see. They got some time, man. Full Gear's got a month, so we'll see. Triple H thoughts on CM Punk's booking mind. How much stroke CM has?
I don't know what Triple H's thoughts are on Punk's booking mind. He's very impressed with his drawing ability. And Punk has been trickling in little things on the NXT shows that he shows up at. Not really creatively, but more in terms of like helping people with the layouts of their matches and producing that aspect of it. He may or may not have ghost produced a vignette or two for a certain bouncy man. And yeah, he has free reign to show up at any NXT TV he wants to do whatever he wants, which is really funny. Like the way it's described to me, Joe, Shawn Michaels seems like the most like aloof guy ever. Because
Yeah, he's pretty sick, unfortunately. It's a shame.
bro, Joe, like he'll have like a format. Punk will come to TV, and then on any given TV, he'll be like, "Yo, I think they should do this with that match." And Sean's kind of like, "Sure." It's very like 2019 Tony Khan, you know. Like, and half the time Sean will like remark as he's saying, he'll be like, "Hey, go, you probably know more about wrestling than me." And it's like, what? It's like,
When,
you're on
like,
the show.
when wrestling people gossip and they say like, "Oh, this guy's a dick," there's some people you like pump your fist because yeah, damn right they are.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's the opposite for Sean, where it's like, no, he's actually cool. It's like, oh, it's lame, you know?
Like really?
Yeah, he can't be an asshole. He seems. I've said this before. I think he's likable booker of the big companies, to be honest with you. Which is a fuck. I can't believe I'm at that point in my life. I don't know.
Tony does the really like over the top hyperbolic speak in interviews. You know, this is the greatest this and this will be blah 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 and whatever the fuck. Hunter is just like he's just a cunt, you know what I mean? Like he'll sit there and read stats to you and shit, and he's just like
Jesus, man.
This is the highest grossing live event for our PLE this year. Da, 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 da. And you ask him questions, he always makes some weird smug prick joke like I don't know, maybe you should be a writer then or something. It's like, shut up, dude. And you have Sean with his little lazy eye who doesn't really know what's happening, and then
He's such a beast.
yeah,
he has his cowboy hat on, but with a suit.
Yes, like he just it's so funny because he constantly one of those big jokes apparently he'll just be like they'll be like, hey, don't you think we should do it this way? And he'll be like, I don't fucking know. And like he'll just be like, we're going live. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like he
fucking beast.
I have it on good authority that he told someone at TV once. He was just like, I don't know why I'm booking a wrestling show. It's like, what are you doing? It reminds me of, you know, the coach Mike Brown, Joe? He's a basketball coach. There used to be a meme of him where it's just his profile picture, and the caption was, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yes. Yeah. That makes it a lot more charming in NXT the way it is, because it's like, you know.
If Sean thought it was like sincerely just good objectively, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever. The only thing he feels strong about is that the women's division is really, really talented.
Yeah, you can tell he takes a lot of pride in when he talks about the women getting better and like watching them develop. You can tell he's very sincere in that regard. You can feel it in the way he speaks, which is cool. He seems like a really like, I don't know a lot about him as a booker because I don't watch close enough. You obviously have your thoughts. We'll leave that there. But as like a coach and someone for the talent to trust, he seems fucking awesome, to be honest with you. So that's cool. Anthony says Speedball Mike Bailey is, well, he's basically saying Speedball's going to NXT.
I don't know. I have no clue. I have no sourcing on this. I think he would do well.
Yeah.
I don't know how well he would do in the main roster.
Yeah, he feels like an NXT. I mean, we're kind of getting back to that point where you could have guys that are like NXT guys. He feels like one of them. Grant says, we are the most nostalgic generation of all time, and there's so much of that nostalgia that gets commodified, good God, in wrestling, my bad, I can't read, and all art forms, it's like, hey, remember that thing now, but yeah, you're right to say in all art forms, because that is like a real thing in movies, and I mean, look at this
Remake City, dude.
Yeah, like, but look at the Spider-Man picture a couple years ago, that like the hook for it was, we're going to have all the Spider-Mans.
You know, that's Spider-Man and this Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay. That's tight. You're spot on in that regard. People think it's just a wrestling thing. It isn't. A couple of years ago, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones did a boxing match and did like an actual pay-per-view number. They popped a number for a boxing match in like 55 years old each, you know? Like,
yeah, they're like mid-50s, dude.
We are nostalgic. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Great super chat. I agree. The worst is the whole title run revision. Awful. Match value is pretty good, but yeah, it's very bad.
I have no time for anybody that tries to do that shit. I have no time.
Yeah, it was a rough time in everyone's life, bro. We were trying our best, you know.
I had personal friends that watched wrestling with me, and like it's funny looking back because like we all acknowledged WWE sucked. We just kind of like laughed about it. We just kind of like it was almost like there's nothing you could do about it. You know, it's just like we just threw our hands up. We're like, yeah, these shows stink. And
you never thought it would get better. You never thought it would get better.
No. We were just like, we just knew it sucked. There's nothing you could do about it. We liked NXT. We dreaded the thought of certain people getting called up, and we just laughed at the pay-per-views. And it was just kind of like, well, that stunk. See you guys next week. You know, like,
dude, they did the gender stuff right alongside Kevin doing the Face of America.
Bro,
it was fucking, that SmackDown era was so bad, man.
It broke my heart because I loved the SmackDown Live 2016
Yeah,
stretch, and it's like it that stretch is only like 6 months before like it just totally switches, and it's like an awful show.
because everyone who was like mate, other than AJ, everyone that was on SmackDown and was getting over, it gets pulled to Raw. They always do that shit. SmackDown. They
Yeah,
used to. Now, obviously,
yeah.
it changed in the last era.
Mhm.
I mean, like this was the other thing at that time, and I like Carmella, but like the world champion Carmella beating Asuka and shit, like it was a really the rough era. Razor says, "Here we go, lock in. Let's go slow." Gunny's thoughts on Punk. Good
he,
wrestler.
he thinks CM Punk is an excellent wrestler.
Yeah. How would Joe correctly do 2011 babyface summer? I appreciate Razor included me on this. I think you'd have to do like the world tour thing that he promised, right? I think you'd have to make a deal where he could go and work like Ring of Honor as WWF champion. I think you'd have to.
Yeah, you have to.
The only issue is you'd already booked the Mania main event as Dwayne and Cena,
Mm-hmm.
so like you couldn't naturally conclude the story where you should
Mm.
at fucking WrestleMania. So you'd probably do it at Survivor Series at the Garden, but you'd have to like be patient. He come back 2 weeks after he left, didn't he? Like.
In that era, also, there was no such thing as long-term booking.
Right. And it was like they hurried him back. They did the awful Triple H stuff. Kevin Nash got involved. Like none of that shit. He should have been winning matches as the WWF champion in other places, and they should not have referenced it at all.
Looking back in retrospect, how did Punk threatening holding the company hostage and holding the belt, how did that turn into Kevin Nash? Like, and
It's
how did that
awful,
happen?
man. The fact that his star power sustained the way it did is a credit to him because like
Mm.
that thing should have been this like big sprawling broad angle, and he's just like he's getting pinned by Triple H like 2 months later. What the fuck, man? Awful.
Yeah, they totally fumbled it, and he just kind of like shook it off and then won the belt again. So
Yeah, and then he had to like rebuild as seen as like supporting act.
it's my God.
Yeah, terrible. Hearing Punk Seth interviews, does Punk still view Seth as little bro? Who would he rather face at Mania instead of Seth? He'd probably rather wrestle me.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, you should, bro. There's some mystery to their dynamic, legitimately, right? And I think they both like it that way, and we'll leave it at that. Would that make sense? Is that fair?
Yes, and you know what? I'll give him this in place of that. Yep. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk weren't particularly fond of each other at the start of their program. And at the end of it, they walked away with very mutual, legitimate respect of each other.
Which is common in wrestling, it should be said.
Mm-hmm.
Very common. In wrestling history, that has happened many a time. So,
yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if similar happened, to be honest, with the freaking. Hush says, what's your genuine thoughts on Jeff Hardy? I'm not a big Jeff Hardy fan, but he was a great babyface, and I think it's staggering how over he got. Like, he got over enough that he can come out at any point in wrestling show ever and get a huge pop for being Jeff Hardy. So,
my opinion is you had to be there. You had to be there. You had to
probably explain it. There you go.
You had to be there when he was as over as he was and riding that wave and just cheering him on. And I was there, and I wasn't even like amongst the higher percentile of Jeff Hardy super fans, but my younger brother was, and he was my brother's GOAT. And because he got into wrestling right when Jeff Hardy was like almost the man. And because if you go back, Joe, like 08, 09, like Jeff Hardy captured the hearts of like the little kids.
Right.
Oh, and I was older than that, but I did think Jeff was cool, and I did think it was time for him to get a push. And it was always one of those things where I was old enough to like read like the backstage stuff. And I remember thinking like, man, if Jeff could just get his life together, like this really is right there for him to take it. And if you were around for Jeff Mania, it was just really cool to see him get that over and then win the belt. And I do think he turned into a very capable singles wrestler around 07 to 09.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. And so I very much liked him and was on board with his push. Once that wave was over, he was never somebody that I wasn't like, oh, I don't want to see Jeff, but I was never like jumping to see him, if that makes sense either. It was just kind of like, I like Jeff, you know? And then as the older he's gotten, it's weird because like in a weird way, he's old and he can still do like once a year, I feel like now he does his Jeff Hardy plunder match where he does the freaking long swanton, and it's like, you should probably stop doing that. Um, like he really should stop doing that. And I feel like he still does it like once every year or so. You
Oh, he
know?
definitely does. Do you remember
Yeah.
his quiet like comeback as a singles worker earlier this year? Do you remember that when he wrestled on Dynamite, like
Yeah.
Moxley?
It was weird.
Yeah, like the matches were like pretty good, but it just didn't feel right because it was just strange. Like he was like the
Exactly. Like it's like Dave is still giving it like 3.5 and shit. And it's like, yeah, like it's like, yeah, but
yeah.
it's just weird. It's very weird.
I've told this before, but I always remember MVP saying like, if you got booked on a house show, there's two names against Jeff or against Ray. You were a heel. He was like, they were the easiest matches ever because those two are both so over
Mm-hmm.
that you could just like put your foot on their back and the people would be mad at you. Like that's how easy it was to get hit. Jeff Hardy. Like, Jeff was so and Ray in the same category. Like
He feels like he feels like a guy who shouldn't exist in any other era except his. Except he is and is existing in these other eras, and it just feels really weird to like look at him sometimes. Like first of all, he's dressed like he's so 2001. You know what I mean? And with the pants and like the netted sleeves and shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I do really like Jeff Hardy, even though I don't like.
yeah.
I'm never compelled to like watch Jeff Hardy in my free time, like or watch an old Jeff Hardy match or anything.
When he's around, you kind of go, that's good. Good for Jeff.
Yeah, and I do think he's and I should make note because I put over his 2000 stuff, like his late 2000s, but I actually do think it's funny because like the Hardy like Matt Hardy and like people will tell you like Matt especially he'll be like he loves pumping up the legacy of his tag team, and like I will say this. He was a part of some extremely seminal, important stuff with his brother in the early 2000s. And then, like, it was so seminal and so influential and so pivotal and so memorable and iconic that he got to live off that for 24 like additional years. Because, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
No, just the Hardys are interesting because of what you just like. I think it's very obvious if you watch their matches, they could have had more traditional tag classics. Like they have stuff later in life like it's really good, but because of the era, they are famous as like they're the TLC team more than any team, right? Like more than Edge and Christian, more than like I think they're the ladder team to me anyway.
You know what's funny about that, Joe? Because I remember you were talking about this. It might have been with Oracle on like the Ruthless Aggression show you did. I forgot what it was, but there was one match I wanted to bring up because I just remembered it and it was like fascinating to me. Have you ever seen No Way Out 2000?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to check.
Very good show. One of the most fascinating things about that show is they let the Hardys and Edge and Christian have a long back and forth 2v2 match, no stip. And it's just fascinating because like it was so un-WWF. Like in WWF, the two tag teams are facing, it's either going to be like 10 minutes with shtick or it's going to be a gimmick match. And here it was no shtick, no gimmick, just wrestle for like, it felt like 20 minutes. It's probably
they had 17 minutes. That is, to your point, is a long time. Yeah.
That especially, like, bro, that's a lot of time. No step, WWF. You know what I
mean? So for some perspective, folks, this was a number one contenders match. Mm-hmm. The tag title match on that show was the Dudleys over the New Age Outlaws. They went over in 5 minutes. Like, yeah, this was not a time like Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho got 8 minutes on this show. Like, it was not a time where you give 16 minutes out, frequently.
That's what, I was gonna say, like a modern fan will hear like, okay, it's 17-minute tag title match, like whatever. Like, it's like, yeah, if you watch Dynamite, that's nothing. But like, you know what I mean? What is it? What does it have on Cage Match Tag? I remember it being good.
It has a 7.28 on Cage Match.
It's good, dude. It's good.
Yeah, Dave only gave it 3 stars.
But that's when Dave was a badass, you know.
So he was a sicko. He wanted everyone to do like double leg takedowns and stuff. I'm gonna put on my notebook.
Yeah, that's a great pay-per-view. I think that the WWF's run in 2000 starts with that pay-per-view. It's like way better than Mania 2000. Not quite as tidy and as tight as Backlash 2000, but it's a great show. And when I last watched that match, because I watched this pay-per-view 2 years ago, and I'm actually looking at my scores right now. I gave this match 3.5.
There you go. I'm gonna watch it because Edge and Christian kind of fascinate me in the sense, like, obviously I think Christian's one of my all-time favorites, and I like Edge is like the top of the list of guys that while I'm not like a big fan, I appreciate them. Like I respect Edge as if he gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
there are wrestlers that you're not like a fan. I'll be like, I appreciate Edge.
You know what's fast? I'll say this also about the match. You know what's fascinating about it, Joe? Because no one really worked this way at this time in this era. They try to do a throwback or almost Japan style escalation match, where like they're doing like counters and like they're doing
Oh,
counters
God.
and combinations in the last like 6 minutes. And so like you might be a little bored at the beginning, but then by the end it's like, oh, they did that. And they also do Jeff, like there's a spot where Jeff like runs across the barricade and jumps to the other side and Edge spears him from the other barricade. Like they're doing all kinds of the combo. You know what it feels like? It feels like a bunch of kids who were snuck in the corner and were watching some Puro tapes. And they're like, what if we did that on
They were
pay-per-view?
super young, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Super young.
It was like a bunch of kids just trying shit like underneath the noses of the company.
That's awesome.
I
Where
give Big
are they in
Show and
TNA?
Grin 3 stars. Yes, they're in TNA.
Okay.
They're teaming with Joe Hendry.
Oh, great.
You haven't seen the song, Joe?
No, I've not, mate. Hanger98 says tap out point for WCW for me, sorry, is when they turn Flair and Hogan at Uncensored 99 in the cage match.
That's
Such a bad
bullshit.
that is one of the worst things, because Flair, even at that age, as a babyface, is like the one life they have, like piece of hope they have, and they tear it away to a Hogan babe. What a bunch of fucking idiots!
It's like every time they did something stupid, they were given like another like another like lifeline that they just burned, because you like the finger poke should be the end, and in the documentaries it's almost set up as the end. But what was historically true was Hogan versus Flair will always draw on pay-per-view. That always would draw on pay-per-view. Ric Flair was a big quarter-hour draw. He was the president of WCW. He was also a babyface. They shot that really effective angle where this new fucking reunited, rehashed NWO beats up on David Flair. And I gotta say, Joe, when I last watched it, very moving, very effective, great beatdown. Ric Flair comes on TV and he's just kind of like, Hogan, I'm gonna kill you. Like, he literally says, I'm gonna kill you, Hulk Hogan. You know, he vowed to fucking murder him. And you're like, man, even in this cooked WCW, I want to see Ric Flair get Hulk Hogan. And what does WCW do? We're gonna turn Hogan face and make Ric Flair the bad guy. Why? Why?
Actually, I think that tap out point is a good way, because like that is actually the end, like legitimately.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like there are multiple points before that where you should jump off, but that's where it's like you have no choice. Like it's over, it's finished. Like
you know what's funny? A lot of the other dumb WCW things don't make me mad. That makes me mad. Like it's like, what are you doing, dude?
Because it's the latest example of that trend that defined the late 90s, where like they constantly tried to diminish Flair. You know, like
it just
Brett and Flair did fucking great number, dude. When Brett came in, people were really into that program, and like they never saw Flair as like one of the true top guys. Like they saw him as lesser than like the WWF legends. It's like he's your legend,
and yet like the fans did, and the fans. It's just, what the fuck were they doing?
Yeah, like in Bischoff's mind, like Piper was more of a priority. It's like I love Roddy, but like,
what do you
come on? It's over, you know. Like
it's just over by the late '90s. And around that exact same time, Joe, that whole storyline that led to the unmasking of Rey Mysterio. If you actually like, they were doing that whole like Rey is the giant killer thing.
Yeah,
and it was getting over.
Of course, there's all of that stuff. Like when they talk about the cruiserweight guys and their ceiling, it's all like self-inflicted wounds.
Yes,
because Eddie's over in WCW before he's even like cool. Like I find like babyface Eddie's kind of bland, if we're being real, in '96, but the people fucking love him.
I was gonna say Singlet Eddie was a geek,
but but they love him.
They cheer for him. That very same Singlet Eddie, Joe, if he was in '94 WCW, oh my goodness,
yeah, for real,
he would be winning TV titles and United States heavyweight titles, and
it wouldn't have been good for the business. But as a fan, if we could follow the timeline without Hogan at WCW, is fascinating, because the biggest thing that would change is Austin. I think Austin would stay. So that obviously everything changes if Hogan doesn't go. But if WCW has Dustin and Austin as like the successors to the top baby and heel, can you imagine that shit? Like,
oh my god.
Yeah, and even if they could still get Savage, because Savage kind of fit the vibe.
Yeah,
like
weirdly, you know what it was? Because they got Mean Gene, and Mean Gene and Randy just feels correct.
Yes,
you know.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. We both got quite mad there about WCW. That was very based.
That was so sick, dude. I that day WWE Vault, they uploaded that Saturday night. That was just a glorious night.
Wasn't that great being able to watch that with like just tweet a bit and interact with friends and stuff while it's on?
I feel like there's also less barrier, even not like, you could debate what you like more. It's less barrier of entry that versus like 86 Crockett, because it just feels more like easy to just have on. I'm not explaining it, but
It's a middle ground between
modern
it's like
wrestling and like
yeah, it's not Nitro, but it's like young fans watch Crockett TV and like they would. I mean, they couldn't do it, dude. They'd hate it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I even saw like it wasn't the majority, but like some of the people that try to watch like that Omni show, it's kind of like it just is kind of jarring from the sensibility standpoint. If you just have no familiarity of how it was at all, it's kind of like you need a little bit to adjust. I feel like there's less of an adjustment to just sitting on and watching Cactus Jack cut a promo and Sting doing a squash match and that kind of thing.
Because WCW had, by that point especially, had really softened like how different they were. And it's still different. I love that.
Also, it's like bright and colorful.
Exactly. Yeah, like Crockett is like it's fucking raw pro wrestling. Bro.
It's very raw and smoky and like.
Yeah.
And now coming to the ring, it's.
Yeah, man. Like you can trace it. If you've seen none of it, Starcade is the easiest way to trace it because like you see it change. Like
bro. Here's a good example of this. In America on ESPN Classic, they would air episodes of AWA, old episodes of AWA when I was a little kid. And when I would scroll on the guide, it would just say wrestling. That's what it was called. It would just say wrestling. And they were talking, this is like 06. And I'm a kid. And I'd click it. And I'd be like, what the fuck is this? And like, I just thought it was a different thing. Like it resembled none of the wrestling that I was familiar with in any way. And I would look at this AWA. And I would just be like, this is so weird. Is this like wrestling but real? Like, is it you know what it looked like to me? Because I used to watch when I was a kid, I would watch like documentaries of like Muhammad Ali, right? And I swear to God, I was like, this resembled old boxing more than the wrestling that I watched on like USA.
It's correct because AWA, if you dig, and you know this, like it has some incredible stuff, but they would do TV in like this famous story Stan Hansen says where like he showed up to TV and the entire format was just name versus like local.
Yeah.
And he was like, are we going to do any angles? And Greg Gagne was like, you worry about wrestling, Stan. We've got everything covered. Like, they wouldn't even do angles on TV a lot of the time, right? It was such a dry presentation. It's just.
And here's like, I probably watch those same episodes back now and like, I'm getting the baby oil out in the wine, a young elementary school Ibou or whatever, it's like it's just a different story.
Yeah, he was wondering where the Undertaker was.
I'm like, where's the gong? Where's the
Sway says Tanahashi versus Brody King. That'd be a simple match for Tana because he would just have to sell the whole time. So
yes, you don't even have to sell it. You call that whole thing in the ring.
Yeah, Brody just like slowly scatters his moves across, like does chops.
Yes.
Works for me. Trust the process. Grading efficiency per opportunity in 2024. Your top 3 guys who've done the most with the least, and the 3 guys who've done the least with them. What a great question. I would say
go ahead.
An immediate candidate for most with the least. He's got a push, but I think he always overachieves the push. I'd say Mark Briscoe, and I'd say Saturday's match was the leading case of that. I think that fella, you can give it, you give him 30 seconds promo time, he's the best thing on the show. So I'd say Mark Briscoe immediately.
I'd toss in, and this is a woman, I'd toss in someone that we resent for reasons that we won't disclose at this point, but Chelsea Green has to be up here.
She's definitely on there. I think Mia's a good call though too.
Yeah, because the thing with Chelsea is like Chelsea gets like 9 minutes a night and she'll score like 9 points, and you're like,
she's a really good role player, bro. Really good.
Yes, like an elite role player. Mia is also a very effective role player. Who else would I put in this role?
It's difficult because I'm trying to think of who's like, because the creative's better in WWE, there's not as many candidates that are like overachieving because the creative generally assists guys now.
You know what? I'll give you one. As a Raw watcher, I'll say this, Joe. The former Zema Ion.
Oh my God, really?
Joe, it's insane. He had a trios match on Raw where it was him, Dragon Lee, and Cruz del Toro. against like Judgment Day dudes, right? And like the match is kind of structured for like Dragon Lee to be the shine guy, and Joaquin like wins the crowd in like 8 minutes, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Well, he should definitely be on there because I gotta be honest, I thought he was a fucking dork last time I saw him. So shout out to him.
Yeah, I'm watching this, and I was like, should NXT just take this fucker and like push him or something? Like,
I mean, he's a talented guy, but yeah, he never popped for me at all. So
no, I remember my brother who was a huge NXT dude back in the day. I remember when like we both witnessed his debut in NXT, and he had like the weird helmet thing. I remember I was like, "Who the fuck is this loser?" You know, so.
well, there you go. Okay, that would be our three, I guess. Now let's do the hard one. The least with the most.
Karrion Kross, Austin.
Yeah, because he's on TV a lot. Yeah. Fury hasn't got as many chances this year, but I'm always down for it, so we can do that.
Yeah, right. Let's just kick him while he's down until another name pops up. Chris Jericho.
Okay, am I going to say Mercedes or you? I don't want to say it, but you know, it's been kind of sad, bro.
Yeah, but it's not like
not on this list, right?
It's disappointing. It's not like dog shit. Does that make sense?
The Willow match the vibe was too good.
Yeah, you know what I'll say it is. Mercedes is a max contract that is currently averaging 16.8 points per game on 41%.
It's still nice watching her hoop. She just ain't giving you the numbers you're looking for, you know?
Like I said, 16 a game. That's not bad numbers until you realize that she's a high usage player. You know, it's like you should be, if you're more efficient, you'd be averaging 27. But hopefully some better times ahead for Mercedes, the best women's wrestler in American history.
Factual. Other names that have been brought up in the chat: Solo, Liv, Jackie Perry, the big three.
It's funny because I don't know where I'm at with Liv right now. I was trending positive, especially coming out of Berlin, and then that Bad Blood match. It really is just the finish, but like my God, you know, like that.
Yeah, I think she's doing okay. It depends how you like.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. There's probably an argument, I guess.
It is funny that like those two Judgment Day matches at Bad Blood like completely like changed Triple H's mental health. Like he just like he literally he's a guy that likes to plan things long and like follow the plan months out and not divert.
Well, I've noticed, yeah.
Right, yeah. Like it'll be in like week 5. You could tell you're in week 5 of 20 of something. You know what I mean? But this one, it made him crumple some papers. Like he was just like, "What the fuck?" You know.
So I think Jericho's a lock.
Mm-hmm.
Karrion Kross managing to wrestle with silence in front of these crowds is impressive. And then I would say, the thing with the Solo thing, not even doing a bit, is he gets great heat. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Like whatever you think of his match, like you can't say the crowd doesn't react in the way that you want them to. They fucking hate him, dude. Like,
yeah,
he has got a lot of TV time though.
Let me see what the live chat is saying.
There's a lot of Jackie Perry talk. I don't know.
He's not putting points on the board, you know. I think after he loses to Daniel Garcia, the NXT rating is out.
Fuck.
Out.
Oh fuck.
I'm gonna announce this on air. All right, you ready for this one?
Oh no.
NXT 639 and a 0.18.
Oh shit. You happy with that? You feel that's a victory?
Let me make this tweet. I'm about to just quote one of my tweets with the NXT score with no opinion attached to it.
Oh man. The thing is, I feel like it would be funnier if it was like in either direction more, but it still works. I'm happy for you, bro. Okay. Trust the process. This was a great question. I hope we did it justice. I apologize if we didn't. We threw a lot of names your way, so my bad if it was a little bit clumsy, but we appreciate you. Ibou's making a tweet.
Yes.
Grand says, I'm convinced Randy is the one pulling the strings. We discussed this earlier with Kevin, just because of the amount of times Kevin has stopped from giving his reason. You're not in on this idea, right? Randall being behind it all.
Like I don't buy that Kevin has no agency in this decision.
Right. Okay. We'll see what happens with that. We'll keep track of it. Thank you, Cran. Trust the process. Who's 2 or 3 guys right now who most fit Cody's? He's not really over. He's just getting consistent reactions right now. Quote. What is this quote? He's not
Cody
really over.
once told somebody, it might have been Fuego, like, you're not over. You just get pops. It's like, what?
Cooked him. I could do something with this.
Go for it.
I'm trying to think of who gets good reactions that's someone that's an enemy of mine, you know? Usually doesn't happen, does it? Usually enemies of mine are.
They succeed and win.
It was fake before I go to the chat saying.
Does Dynamite beat? They'll beat the demo, but will they beat this total viewership?
Fuck. Surely. Chat's saying Outrunners, but people actually seem to like them. DIY. Did DIY get a good pop?
They don't get entrance pops, but they get "This Is Awesome" chants during their matches.
Okay, so that would suggest they're not over. Then okay, that works. Fuck. I don't know. Everyone's so popular in the WWF that it's like,
yeah, it's hard.
I can't like cut through who's actually over and who's not. You know. Is there someone in the?
I regret to inform you, Joe. I will say this. For all the clowning I've done in NXT today, which has been very therapeutic. So far, we got to wait to see what the rest of this card is, because you never know. I'm looking at the 2 match graphics they dropped for NXT for next week, and they do look grin-alongy. It's JC Jane and Fallon Henley versus Stephanie Vaquer and Julia.
World Tag League.
Io Sky and Kairi Sane versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson.
Oh my God. Science experiment.
Yeah, yes. Now, I say this, but, for all we know, in 2 days, they drop Alexis King graphic, and this is all moot,
Yeah, I like the idea. I may do a grin along for that. By the way, we are doing a grin along tonight. Not Ibou's not going to be there, but we are doing it on
I'll be
LNG
listening
Gold.
to it.
Yeah, so sign up, folks. How do you feel about this suggestion? Britt Baker. It's Caden Lee's suggestion for the pops but not over.
Yeah, that's a great call. In fact, a recent Dynamite that I saw her in, it just felt like she's not like a part of it anymore.
Yeah, I wonder why. Who else gets good reactions? I mean, I think you could look at a Jackie Perry for that, to be fair. Jack Perry's matches haven't really got any heat anymore, have they?
No. I think once people got past the Crimea River singing, like, they realized like there's not much there.
I actually liked the Bryan match a lot, but it did not have anywhere near the response in Chicago that people hoped it would. Like,
yes.
No. I don't know a good WWE answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I feel like anyone that people don't care about just doesn't get a reaction.
Yeah, because those crowds are so fucking like, every crowd's big, so it's like you'll know if they're not over. To me, anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like someone like Mariah, like, unfortunately, Mariah's not getting a good reaction. Like, so I don't know. I get what Fuego kind of means he's going for, though. I guess like the Outrunners would fit that description in theory. But people are buying their shirt, man.
Yes.
God bless. Like, I guess Joe Hendry could fit the description, but again, I don't know. We'll see where he's at in 6 months.
We have a Twitter update from Elon's little crew here.
Elon's little crew.
Soon we'll be launching a change to how the block function works. If your posts are set to public, accounts you have blocked will be able to view them, but they will not be able to engage, like, reply, repost. Go fuck yourself. This app.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, man!
Like, gee, like what?
What is the need? Now, every just came on screenshotting each other. Oh, awful. There's a couple names for your Trust the Process. Another one from Trust the Process. My favorite super chat. I've always said this back in the worldwide days. Dave has already given out 396.
What?
No way. There's no way. 396 4+ bar matches this year on pace to break last year's record of 471.
Joe,
Pressed him on Wrestling Observer. One second. Pressed him on Wrestling Observer last week about his star spamming and whether he lowered his standards. OG was copping, please, shaking my head. Oh my god, bro!
I now need to hear Dave being asked that question and
For
him
real.
like, going like, no, it's better. And but
like this, with my mic like this, with his hand, this would be fucking awesome. That's crazy.
Have you seen Joe this year? 396 3.5-star matches this year.
I just don't. It just seems like a really large number, doesn't it? I think there's a lot of good wrestling, but like,
I want to know what the number is for matches above 4.5. That'll be funnier.
Because like again, I do think like there is a great deal of good professional wrestling out there. I mean, the pay-per-views, most of the matches you're going to see on paper in both companies are good, right? And that's why kind of Bad Blood I think struck people, because there are a couple matches that people didn't like on that show. Most matches nowadays on paper bottom out at like 2.5 rather than half like it would in the olden days.
Yeah.
But that does seem like an awful lot. I need to see this clip. If you've got the clip, Trusted Process, feel free to DM it to us because that sounds fucking awesome. Dave just casually responding to the allegations.
His coverage is usually just wrestling is just better than it's ever been.
The athletes of old, brother. Daniel asks, what's your favorite Dragon match? I go Kenta in 06. That's definitely up there. I would say favorite Dragon match. I'd say the Joe hour match pops me. I'd say Over the Limit with Punk. I'd say Kofi. I'd say Brock. I would say I'm trying to think of I'd say Nigel from Liverpool. Good God, bro. It's hard. My absolute favorite, if I was just to watch one, would probably be I don't even know, man. That's so hard. His catalog's too strong.
I don't have a favorite Bryan Danielson match.
If I was to just rewatch one, this is not, I don't think, his best match, but I was there, it would be the Ricky Strap match because in the building, that's one of the most magical things I've ever experienced. Ever.
I'd pick the Bandito match, and the Liberals should cry.
There you go. Final Countdown in live in person at the United Center after all that happened in Chicago that week with Punk and such was like, I'll always remember that. But there's a million options. What an incredible catalog. Thank you for the super chat, Daniel. Jack says, any idea of WWE's thoughts on Zack Sabre Jr.?
No.
Regal had some interesting thoughts back in the olden days, didn't he? But I don't know if they're.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that Gunther likes him. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. And as the Sultan says, WWE Vault is so sick. Just uploaded Crow Sting. It is awesome. It's the promotion of the year. I've been locked in on this for a while.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's a great count. Cal, 600K. Cal's victory lapping because Julia lost to Roxanne Perez. Last couple here. Hush. Let's get a bit spiteful. Who have you soured on big this year? Can't say Okada or Ibou. And opposite, who has grown on you this year?
I did not sour on Okada this year.
No.
But
3 years ago.
I played the fifth.
Who have I soured on, Ibou? Who have I turn my back on?
I feel like the people you soured on are people that like you didn't like last year, but you were kind of just like
I was neutral.
It was like you had things about them that drove you nuts, but you got it. I know a specific name of a man that this year was the year where you officially drew a hard line on him. You know,
who?
A certain Mad Dragon. You know.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this year you drew a line on that man. Unfortunately,
I did. I hope he's okay though.
Like last year, it was like, yeah, you know, this Dijak match. Like he's a little theatrical, but you know, he really works hard, and I get it. And I remember when I gave it 3 or 4.5, you were like, you liked that match, huh? I was like, yeah, and you're just kind of like, huh. It's just like, okay, I see what's going on here. And this year, you officially like once you started this Raw run, and people are telling you like, watch this week's 3 3/4 that it was so awesome, and you're like,
yeah, I was a real prick about that Jey Uso match, I have to say.
That was unfortunate.
That match was so bad, and the crowd, like everything about that was so funny.
Well, the other funny thing was like you like pretty much skipped every good Ilya Dragunov Raw match this year.
Tuned in for that.
Every single one. Like, you didn't watch the Braun match. You didn't watch him, Sheamus and Drew. Like you just
no time for it.
You want on a red chest detox. You know?
That's true. So I haven't sailed on this guy. I still respect them greatly, but I've stopped watching Sheamus matches for that reason because I've taken a break from the red chest stuff. I can't do the banger red chest shit anymore, bro. I've had enough. He's still sick. I just need to have a break. Like he'll be there for me when I'm ready, you know.
Here's the thing. For the conventional Sheamus match, like his 3.5 with Kaiser, that makes sense. But there's a couple this year that are fun for slightly different reasons. Like he had one match with Bronson Reed that felt like it belonged to Noah, and that's not necessarily like Bronson Reed's too fat for his chest to get red. So like that was a different type of match. That was more David Goliath than red chest. You know what I mean? And
I'm sure it was good. Sheamus is awesome, bro. He's just,
right.
you have to like too much of anything is a bad thing, you know. Too much of any good thing is a bad thing.
You got to take breaks from certain wrestlers.
Yeah, for sure. Damian Priest, I'm not like a big fan, but he like won me over this year and kind of popped me.
I agree. Yeah, you know what?
He's one. The other big one, and I'm still not a fan necessarily, but he pops me huge that he's like changed his look, is Kyle Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher won me over.
Yep.
The Kingdom won me over.
There you go.
Damian Priest won me over. And very, 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 very recently, the Yeet Man has won me back over.
Yeah, you should have never wavered on that, bro.
You know what's weird? It's so weird. You know when it happened, Joe? Right when the ref counted to 3 on him beating Braun. There was just
accepted it. You embraced the Yeet.
Yeah, there was this almost like genuinely, not to be dramatic, there was almost a spiritual clarity where you just like, it's how could I deny this? You know?
Yeah. This is another one for you. You've become a much bigger LA Knight fan, too.
That happened last year, I think.
Nah, man. We're in October now, bro. The AJ match was a big one where I think you realized he might actually have good matches.
I didn't think last year. You know,
maybe you did. I don't
know. Maybe. This was the year where it did feel like this guy could actually have good wrestling matches.
Yeah. Ray says, please give Braun RVD's better a walk theme. Thank you.
Someone made an edit, Joe, of Braun Breaker doing that long entrance from backstage, and he's walking out to Limp Bizkit's break stuff, and it's the greatest thing I've ever seen because you just see him walking out like, "Do we got any dogs in Houston?" And all I hear is, "It's just one of those days where you just want to wake up. Everything is fine. Your body sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify." And you hear the fucking
bro. How like that's my favorite stuff on Twitter is like shit like that. Like just
people editing.
Edits to make grapplers look cool. Is there anything cooler than that in the game?
The problem is everybody's go-to is just put fucking West Side Gun on a fucking match highlight.
Yeah, that's like an epidemic, bro. We need to chill on that.
Be creative. Fuck, dude.
There's some graps it fits, but
it's just
people do it for every wrestling match. So
bro, it'll be like Ricky Steamboat versus Tully Blanchard, and then you just hear like, "Hey yo, boom, 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 boom." I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, put on some fucking Michael McDonald or some shit, dude. Like, I don't know. Like,
last one from Razor. How would CM Punk's career look if he didn't leave?
Fuck.
Is he a bigger draw because he left?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. There became a whole mystique around him for a generation that didn't even see him because the crowd would chant CM Punk. He's definitely a bigger draw because he left. If he didn't leave, he would have retired. Like, it's just impossible to answer it because he was fucked when it was over.
Yeah.
He's ready to go home. Answer this. What's Punk's thoughts on Danielson? He still think BD the GOAT?
No, I don't think I will answer that.
Okay. He doesn't think he will answer it. I'd imagine he thinks he's pretty good, to be fair. I would imagine. See his post about Samoa Joe? That was cute, wasn't it?
Oh, the pop. It does make me feel good that he still loves Joe in that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because
he listed him as one of the guys he wants to have in like a bar fight alongside him. Did you see that?
Did you see that lineup he came up with?
It was sick, dude.
I'll tell you this. I've been thinking, Joe, about who will be Punk's babyface allies for Raw tags. You know, because inevitably there's going to be a point where he comes back. He doesn't beat Gunther. He has time to kill before the Rumble, and he's going to have to do some tags. You know, and I was wondering who is Team Punk. And you know, the Mark side of me was like, what if he's a Dragon Lee? But like, I think everyone in the room would laugh at me. You know, imagine someone going to Hunter like, who do we put Punk with? It's like Dragon Lee, and they're all like, no,
It's got to be right. It has to be Ray.
So Punk would love to tag with Ray, but I've decided, Joe. This sounds insane, but I've decided because it just makes sense to me that Team Punk is the ragtag group of Punk. It's just me, Jey Uso, and Dame Priest. I know. I'm not thinking about it from a chemistry in-ring standpoint. I'm thinking about it from a character, does it make sense standpoint.
It would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, on a couple levels. They all love Jackie Redmond. Anyways, that's Team Punk in my head.
Okay. We have a couple more here because during answering the last one, more came in. Brainbuster of LNG fame will be on the Dynamite Grin Long tonight. Ibou, remember when someone got mad at me for putting Gary Barnes host at Tenbrew and Steamboat? I don't remember this at all. What happened?
Go fuck yourself, Brainbuster.
One edit, like this was one of those edit situations. Brainbuster did an edit involving me once. I hope people got mad at that. Have you ever seen that?
Oh no, is he talking about the? Oh no, dude, that fucking edit you made, Brainbuster, was amazing. It's so fucking gorgeous. Can you
Brainbuster at us in that? Yeah, because we'll like retweet that.
It's so good. It's so.
It sounds cool. So I was kind of confused. You said go fuck yourself. I was like, wait, were you one of the people mad? I was very confused then. Okay, thank you, Brainbuster. Razor falls on 20-year anniversary of Punk Joe 2. Joe debate on Punk's GOAT feud as a face. Joe, Max, Cena, Drew. Joe. His best feud as a babyface is probably Max. Because the Joe feud, he's not a babyface in the first match. So 20-year anniversary on Punk Joe, that's their best match. It's a masterpiece. Actually, the third match is fucking close. It's a classic match, and it does an incredible job of being effective as a standalone, so you don't necessarily have to watch the first one to enjoy it. But you will enjoy it more if you watch the first one first. Anything on that match, Ibou?
On which match?
Punk Joe 2.
It's awesome.
It's the 20th birthday for that. You know that? 20-year anniversary.
It's the greatest wrestler of all time.
Did CM want to have a segment with Brett in Canada?
Did he want to?
Yeah, like when Brett was on the TV recently.
He found hilarious irony in the fact that was his week off that they did that.
What top guys would CM want to work with? Roman
Reigns.
The Rock.
Yes.
Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
Yeah. Ibou, does knowing behind the scenes of booking scoops impact your viewing enjoyment? You can go for that first, and I'll do the second one.
Surprisingly, no.
Yeah. Joe, do you take in all the scoops or you avoid some for genuine surprise? I don't avoid any, but I think I was protected from the Nigel one, either intentionally or unintentionally, because I did not get told that, and I lost my fucking mind. So I'm glad I missed that one. But yeah, you definitely like hear it does change it. I think it's actually a different excitement in some ways, watching something that you feel like it's about you think you know what's going to happen, but you're waiting, you know?
Yes.
It's a different excitement. It's a strange thing to explain. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of going, wait, is it now? You know, that kind of vibe. Yes. It's interesting.
Yes.
And because wrestling changes all the time, you still get surprised. One and Only says, I missed the holy fuck Stephen Page tweet. So do I. We should bring him back. Shout out to Bob Quinkle.
The way he won last night was just like
godly.
I couldn't believe it.
Like it was a bit. It was like it was a comedy bit, legitimately.
Javon Evans, Joe, had like so many hope spots that even though of course they weren't going to do Javon and Trig, but like the match worked me. And I feel ashamed. The match worked me into believing he was going to win. I was like, is Javon going to win? And then Ego just like slips in and like, I'm like, no fucking way. And then I'm like, what
the theme is crazy, bro.
Ego.
Actually, love one. Razor, Joe, do you think Dom and Punk will be like Punk and Rape? Absolutely not. It's Dom gets heat. You can't. That atmosphere and that vibe is just you can't capture that in a big arena on Monday Night Raw. I'm afraid. All right, we need to go, Ibou. Correct. So,
yeah.
we have a tweet that's about to go up now. We want all of you to go right now to Late Night Grin because we want to get as much excitement around this as possible because we want the people that aren't watching Hanging with Hulbert to know about this because we're about to make an announcement on that very tweet. And then I'm going to put it on the screen and we're going to do a minute talking about it and then we're going to get out of here to then talk about what we're going to have to do the show after the show. All right? So, Ibou, fill dead air for me for a second, all right,
bro? Sure. I think wrestling is pretty good. I'm excited for Dynamite tonight. You know, I had to limit Joe's enthusiasm earlier there, but I do actually share a lot of it, to be honest with you. And listen, man, Christian Cage and Jay White, they're gonna have the sexiest 3.5 to 3 3/4 that you've seen in a couple months.
Factual.
And beyond that, I'm really excited to see what this John Moxley angle is going to be. I will tell everyone to pump the brakes on the whole RJ City is the best writer in wrestling stuff. Why?
Oh, yeah. Chill on that, please.
It just makes me uncomfortable. Please stop doing that. Please.
All right. Here we go, Ibou. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh my!
I'm going to read the caption. We won't say anything more. But I want everyone who's watching this, if you can go and like that, if you can quote tweet it, get excited about it. Let's get people fired up. We have 2 weeks on this one. The caption reads as follows. 1 month removed from, quote, the incident. Backup Hangman and Joe Hulbert reunite at LNG's Halloween party. Unfortunately, they are soon left with a murder to solve. The Hanging with Hulbert Halloween special premieres on October 30th following AEW Dynamite. There you go. There you go, Ibou. Big business, brother. Big business. Locked in. You ready to go?
I'm locked in. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm fired up, Joe. Let's do this, you know.
I am too, brother. All right, folks. Please like this video. I haven't said that during it. Like I've said it once in the last 2 hours and 7 minutes. Hilarious show. Like it, comment if you enjoyed it and shit like that. And remember, 30th of October, Hang with Hulbert, Halloween special.
Fuck Lexus King.
There's a murder to solve. We've got big business ahead. I will see you all live tonight. LNG Gold, Grinner Gold members, Grinner Circle members, AEW Dynamite, Grin Along. It's a hell of a lineup tonight, as Ibou just laid out. We're going to be reacting to it live. Ibou will not be there, but he'll be listening. He may pop up in the chat. That's what's coming up. Also, Friday, Bound for Glory 2009, Grin Along. Contrarian Alex is on the show. Lock in. Enjoy this outro. Have a good night, folks. Goodbye.